Good evening and welcome to South Bend, Indiana for a Friday night doubleheader between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish as they host the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the day has arrived.
This is Charlie Morris alongside my partner Claire DeMeo. We're excited to bring you two exciting matches of rugby today. Before we get going, Claire, just want to ask, what's your expectation for both these games, especially this first one between the two varsity teams?
Absolutely. Well, last season when they faced off against each other, it was Notre Dame's season opener, so perhaps a little rust to be shaken off there. But nevertheless, Ohio State came out storming, and so this will be another fast and physical game for both teams. Notre Dame has a lot of speed on the outside, so I'd love to see them use their speed to get around the wings and really just take off with it. And have some fun with it, too, absolutely. Ohio State always presents a really good matchup.
Yeah, and we're underway as the kickoff is received by the Irish as we start today's game. As you mentioned, last year's match went in favor of the Buckeyes, but this will be a big chance for the Irish to break a small losing skid. They've lost 2 in a row. Big chance to get back in the win column today in a huge match against Ohio State. So they start with the ball and chance to score first. Ohio State defense playing very strong and forces Notre Dame to kick it away into the hands of Connor Fairfield for Ohio State. He sheds off a hit before flipping it away to Seamus Kennedy down the right side. He's brought down on a strong tackle from Patrick Murphy. Ohio State still with the ball inside Notre Dame territories. Quick ruck ends up with the Buckeyes moving towards the middle of the field as it's Enrico Leva who's brought down. Chris Mason trying to get to the edge before he's brought to the turf. So Notre Dame's defense holding strong so far as we've seen Ohio State try to use both sides of the field on the offenses. They will be called there for a turnover.
This one will be knocked on by the Buckeyes. Notre Dame starting their attack once again on the advantage.
Strong hit from Fairfield knocks the ball loose, and so a knock-on against Notre Dame's Jack Quinn.
But they will go back to Ohio State's original knock-on. So the Buckeyes will start another set play with our first scrum of the match.
As you mentioned, Notre Dame was playing on advantage, Clarence, so it will be a scrum at just a couple meters from the 10-meter. Still on Notre Dame's side. The ball has been on this side the whole start to the game. It has only been 2 minutes and 5 seconds, so still a very early game. It will be Notre Dame's scrum. Ball in the hands of Owen Portelli for the Irish.
Right there, getting up fast on the launch, creating those turnovers that'll come in very much handy for them.
Irish still with it. As they get close to the 10-meter, that's Matt Williams who progressed it. Short kick attempt. Goes into touch near us.
And so Notre Dame already trying to use the space pretty effectively. This one going right into touch, but looks like they will get it back.
Yeah, it looks like maybe an offsides against Ohio State. And a strong kick from Ryan Putka ends up into touch, and so Notre Dame will get a line out as the ball finally crosses midfield. So the Irish have it. Their first chance of the game to get on the board.
And they're in pretty good field position as well. So you can see the backs spread out deep. Really looking for them to use the space. Looks like they have a bit of an overload on offense right now.
Successful line out for Notre Dame is something they struggled with a little bit in their last match, but a good start for them on that front as ball pops free. Pitch back to Chase Pierce, who's brought down. Aggressive D-line from the Buckeyes. We've seen that a couple times so far. They're right up on the ball, despite Notre Dame's backs, as you mentioned, being further back trying to get that speed, get that momentum going before they face the defenses. Right now, it's the defense for Ohio State winning as Notre Dame seemingly lost ground
Absolutely.
back near midfield.
We're seeing a lot of discipline on the Ohio State defense. Again, just getting up early this time. A little too early right there with that offsides, but nevertheless, getting up and in Notre Dame's face early on in this matchup.
Butka's kick sails well into touch, and so more ground gain for the Irish. They're give or take about the same spot they were when they kicked it out into the other direction. So Ohio State defense definitely standing strong so far, but it has been Notre Dame dominating possession of the ball, playing a clean game. We've seen Ohio State with a couple penalties early on, but Notre Dame seemingly avoiding those. Another successful line out as well. So two things that they wanted to clean up from their last game, and it's been a good start for them.
Absolutely, and when they're on offense, again, they move very well. So as long as they can keep hold of that possession, I think that'll really come in handy for them as they try and put some points up.
Forward pass ruled against Notre Dame as it almost looked like Liam Novak would be able to split through a crack in the Buckeyes defense, but the ref saw it otherwise, and so Ohio State will take over possession at about the 22-meter. Teams line up for the scrum. And a whistle is blown. So the ref did not like what he saw, so both teams will line up and try it again. It's Ohio State scrum, so this would be an important one for them to win deep in their own half. This is not one they want to mess around with and turn over, because that really opens the door for the Irish to get on the board early. Still in a scoreless game at Stinson Rugby Field in South Bend, Indiana. And it will be Ohio State corralling and then immediately kicking the ball away. Well received by Luke Fielding. He still has it before he's finally brought down. Notre Dame again in Ohio State territory. Putka throws it off to Matt Prame.
Line break by number 12, Matt Prame.
John Barnes trying to bulldoze his way for a few extra meters. He's brought down. And a knock-on called as the pass misconnected between some of the Irish forwards, and so it'll be Ohio State ball at about inside that yellow circle at the center of the field.
So right away, a few mistakes here and there, but nothing unfixable for both teams. Again, both have faced knock-ons on these little pop passes right here and there. So again, just little things to clean up.
Yeah, I was mentioning earlier the aggression of the Ohio State defense that we've been seeing a lot of, and potentially forcing Notre Dame into trying those quicker passes and causing them to make more mistakes. There's certainly a testament to the Buckeyes on defense so far. It's Notre Dame who wins the scrum, so they will once again have the ball. A strong run from Cam Tiza. Barnes with it again. He throws it back before it's intercepted.
Ball offloaded, but knocked down by the Irish.
Kicked away by Ohio State. And a strong tackle from Jack Dulick up the field. Notre Dame with it again, however. And looks like play stopped as we have an injured Ohio State Buckeye on the ground, and so the clock will halt with 31:40 remaining in a scoreless first half.
Both teams pushing the pace early in this match. Just under 10 minutes in. And it seemed pretty equal on possession so far. Notre Dame making strides early on, but then Ohio State recovering again.
Ohio State had that first possession of the games right after the kickoff. Notre Dame with the turnover, but Since then, really, Notre Dame has been in control of the ball, but Ohio State's defense has been unbelievably stingy to start the game. And so Notre Dame hardly making much progress as the injured Buckeye, Enrico Leva, is on his feet, and he heads to the sidelines.
Absolutely. In a match as tight as this one, and again, these teams pair pretty well together. It leaves very little room for error for both sides. So again, just fixing up these little errors here and there will, I think, be very important in determining the outcome here.
Ohio State, no stranger to tight games like this one. 15-point win against Illinois on September 19th before a 14-point win against University of Michigan last weekend. So they're on a 2-game win streak, 2 very close games, and twice they've limited their opponent to under 20 points. So that's something Notre Dame will be trying to break in this game, but a real testament to that Ohio State defense so far early in the season.
And Notre Dame, strong runs here by both the forwards and the backs.
Look at that broken tackle from Ryan Putka. Known for his foot, but there using his strength with his running ability to break a hit. Gets Notre Dame back across into Ohio State territory before an errant pass is knocked on by the Irish. Matt Williams couldn't corral it, and so it'll be Ohio State ball. Oh.
They will call that one back for not rolling away. So Notre Dame gets lucky there.
Certainly a break for Notre Dame as Putka kicks it into touch. It's certainly looked like a clear knock-on against the Irish, but as you mentioned, a not rolling away penalty against the Buckeyes, and so Notre Dame continues to possess the ball. It'll be Williams to throw it in on the line out once again. But Ohio State comes away with it. It's Ian Fairfield who corralled that deflected pass attempt. Ohio State once again content to just kick it away. A deep kick. It's fielded by Fielding, ironically enough. He is knocked down, but before he does, he gives it to Putka, who's still on his feet across midfield. Finally brought down past the 10 meters. Notre Dame, once again, deep inside Ohio State territory.
And again, they're playing very methodically here, just trying to win every phase.
Liam Novak with a strong run off the pass from Pierce just now. Ohio State with possession once again. It's a tackle from Matt Williams. He's been active early on for the Irish.
Trying to go for the ball there.
Unsuccessful, was kicked to Colin Ardice. He runs toward the right side of the field before offloading it. And he now has it back. Off to John Barnes, who's taken down and turns it over. Ohio State takes over possession. It's Brandon DePero passing it away. Over on the left side is where Ohio State will start their first attack since very early on in this game. And a strong run gets the Buckeyes as far as they've been in this match. Brought down is Vice Captain Maximus Clark as they start to move back towards us, towards the right side. Couple passes in a row, ends up in the hands of Connor Fairfield. He breaks through an arm tackle before being brought to the turf. In the middle, it's Eddie Markson, number 1. He's brought down by a couple of Irish players. Errant pass is picked up by Notre Dame as the oblong shape of the ball, allowing it to take some unique bounces away from both players going for it until it was jumped on by Drake Schaffner, number 14. So first time we've heard his name tonight in a big steal as it's kicked away by Putka. Will it get into touch? And it will. as it just gets past Aiden Pixton, who was back trying to keep it in bounds. And so a Notre Dame line out well inside the 22, and a huge chance here for the Irish.
Absolutely there with all the chaos that just ensued. Notre Dame finally within the Buckeyes 22. So this will be an excellent opportunity here to generate some attack going forward. They've had some really strong runs through the field, so just another opportunity for the Irish to get one out if they can get through this line out.
And they do not, as it's once again battered away by the Buckeyes, and so it'll be Ohio State with possession of the ball inside their own 22. We'll see if they look to maybe kick it away again. They've been prolific at that early on, relieving the pressure by getting it across midfield, and they will try again. Back to receive is Ardis. He will kick it away.
And with both defenses just very well matched, you're going to see a lot of the kicking to try and open up the space and try and, generate a gap.
There's some space as it's Cam Teza progressing very deep into Ohio State territory. You mentioned the kicking that's going to be used. We saw an example of just a really strong run in space for Teza, and Notre Dame once again knocking on the door. See if they can finally punch it through. As Novak tries to bully his way in, but he is rejected. And it looks like a forward pass has been called, as Chase Pierce got nabbed for that one. And so about 15 minutes into this first half, and we're still scoreless.
Yeah, so getting some good looks for the Irish as they close in, but unfortunately just the little mistakes here and there.
Certainly a better start for Notre Dame than last year, as you mentioned. When Notre Dame played Ohio State last year, it was their first game of the season. And a lot of rust, a lot of new systems, but now Notre Dame a lot deeper in the season, and so much more comfortable seemingly early on against Ohio State, who continues to just have to kick it away. This one will go into touch, however, so a successful kick for the Buckeyes at about midfield.
Yeah, just these little mistakes here and there with the knocks, with the forward passes, just unfortunately derailing the really good efforts on the attack. Just not quite able to seal the deal and get on the board for the Irish. They'll have another line out here just within about midfield, but unfortunately haven't connected as much as they probably would have liked, and Ohio State claiming this one, although it'll be knocked on. So Notre Dame gets another opportunity off a scrum to generate something on offense. But so far, this has been a heavily defensive game for both teams. Again, very well matched, so whichever one can will their way through and create opportunities, that'll be the difference maker here.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of opportunities, as you mentioned. Certainly going to be about capitalization, especially for Notre Dame. They've had so many looks early in this game. They've had the ball for the majority. For Ohio State, it's got to be, they got to find a way. Maybe you win this scrum. And they do win the scrum. As I mentioned, speak it into existence. And so Ohio State with the ball for only a handful of times they've had it early on. And they've just lost it as a penalty is called. And so Notre Dame, another chance with the ball inside Buckeyes territory.
Yeah, like you said, who can capitalize on these mistakes? They will happen. It's inevitable. So it's about how you react to that. Can you set up quick enough? Can you catch the other team off guard? So Notre Dame with another chance for a line out.
They've been rather successful on the lineouts so far to start this game. We've had Ohio State knock on the last one. Williams has done a good job from the touch line, throwing it in straight. No unstraight throws yet. So
yeah, that was something that they struggled with last week, so it's good to see that cleaned up a bit for sure.
However, this one is turned over, and so Buckeyes with possession. It will be thrown back to their kicker, who has had a busy day so far.
Exit kick recovered by
Colin
Artis.
Artis with it. He's spun to the ground. Strong, powerful run from Liam Novak. As the Irish gain a little bit more ground. It's Chase Pierce trying to do the same.
They create these excellent looks, these excellent opportunities as they drive across the field, but as they close in, not sure why, but they haven't quite been able to get on the board.
Certainly a strong effort, a gutsy effort from Ohio State so far. Very little momentum going for them on offense, but a really, really strong defense. They've hardly shown any holes. There have hardly been any big runs. We had that one earlier from Teza that ended up not leading to anything. So we have a kick play attempt here, but it will go into touch. So the Irish really trying to get creative there and finding new ways to break through this very tough defensive line for the Buckeyes. That's really been a challenge for them halfway through this first half.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's good to see Notre Dame try to open up the game a bit more, utilizing the kicks. It's not really something that we've seen in the previous few weeks, but then again, Ohio State has been the most evenly matched with them, so there's a lot of similarities with the identities of these teams, and I think that's evident in play today.
Certainly is, as Ohio State
Line out controlled by the Buckeyes.
has the balls. They'll look to progress. Maybe some space for Mason. He gets decently far before he's brought down. But once again, the Buckeyes will resort to the kick. This one will bounce, so potential trouble for Notre Dame. However, it is collected. It's Artis giving it off. Decent run here from Jackson Graham before he's brought down.
And so he will be called for
Penalty on the Irish for not releasing.
Not releasing is the call, Claire, and so it will be Ohio State ball. As I just mentioned, a decent run from Jackson Graham. We haven't seen all that much space for the ball carriers for Notre Dame, but that time a little bit of room, and unfortunately for them, a successful run getting thwarted by the penalty, and so it'll be kicked into touch by the Buckeyes, and so they'll get a line out on Notre Dame's side of the field. Be Maximus Clark, who will be throwing it in for Ohio State. Deep throw, executed perfectly by the Buckeyes. Pixton passes it along into the hands of Nate Palenko. Give and go between Buckeyes. Now they've got space on the right side. Fake and some space. What a pass! It was Hunter Simons on the give. And it's Connor Fairfield into the try zone, and Ohio State is on the board first.
And that is a classic right there. Offload on the outside to the wing, and at that point, once you've broken that last line of defense, it becomes a foot race. So excellently executed right there by the Buckeyes, finding the space, breaking the line, just one quick pass out to the wing, and they're in for the try.
Yeah, real seemingly out of nowhere, that attack from Ohio State is that give and go right off the.
Yeah, their fullback had a great insert on the outside, creating a bit of an overload. And so at that point, once you're faced with that 2v1, it's one pass out and he's gone.
So it's Ohio State on the board first. A well-designed play from them. That's certainly one that's got to make the coach happy.
I can say from experience as a wing, those situations are absolutely killer.
It's a great point. Is nothing better than getting a great pass from your teammate and nothing but green grass in front of you between you and the try zone. It was Fairfield who punched it across for 5. The conversion attempt is close, but sails off to the left. A really tough angle for Pixton. So it will remain 5-0 with 17 minutes to go in the first half. And so all that possession for Notre Dame, but it's Ohio State who draws first blood.
Yeah, that insert right there by the fullback was just all they needed to really catch the Notre Dame offense thin. And so Notre Dame will have to work to get the ball back as they set up to kick and restart play.
It will be Ryan Putka, who's been very active as per usual with his right foot, kicking it away. Deep kick is corralled by Jack Dulick. Kicked away into Irish territory. Takes a Notre Dame bounce back into Ohio State, their half. And it looks like a penalty is called against the Irish. And so a little momentum building for Ohio State as they're on the board and they have the ball.
And as much as it is a physical game, it's also a mental one. You have to really be disciplined and watch out for those looks, making sure you're containing the gaps and launching hard always.
Good kick from Pixton into touch, and Ohio State turning the tides of this one. They have it inside Notre Dame territory again. A line out coming for them as they look to double their lead and perhaps more. They're already up 5-0. Notre Dame leading in time of possession, but Ohio State, where it matters, on the scoreboard. 5-0. We are just over halfway through the first half of this game.
And these lineouts have become pretty critical. Both teams managing to, at some points, intercept and turn over the ball on these lineouts. So Ohio State able to get this one through as Notre Dame is called for hands in the ruck. So
the penalty on Notre Dame, giving Ohio State a really good opportunity as Pixton's kick goes into touch between the 22 and the 5.
10 meters from the goal line.
As you mentioned, the lineouts have been absolutely critical early on in this game. Both teams not doing too poorly with them, but certainly Ohio State really effective off of them, especially the ones on offenses. It will be Clark to throw it in, and they've been so good, and there's another example of how successful they've been.
And it looks like a maul is developing here. So Notre Dame is doing their best to hold up the Buckeyes.
Strong pushing as it's Clark who's got the ball in his hands and just keeps on chugging along.
You can't
Finally, bodies start to fall.
enter the maul from the side, so Notre Dame will be pushed back one more time all the way to their try zone. So another good look for the Buckeyes to extend the lead.
Buckeyes look to tap and go.
It will be a tap and go attempt. And there it is. Clark not going to get there. Stop short. Temporarily, at least. Notre Dame holds.
Doesn't get there.
And it looks like they will try to muscle their way in with the forwards.
Certainly does. It's there. Right there. Just no signal yet. Notre Dame still holding strong, but Ohio State continues to just try to push it through.
A classic situation here with the goal line defense as Notre Dame holds it up.
What an excellent defensive series for Notre Dame. Putka's brought down, but Notre Dame with the ball. What a defensive stand for them to keep the score within one possession. Still only 5-0 Ohio State. That's the first time we've really seen Notre Dame's defense be put to the test in this game, and they really came through.
Absolutely. Managing to clear that one as far as they can, but they're trying to catch Notre Dame off guard right there.
And they certainly did, as it's a really strong run from Fairfield, who has the only try in the game. As you mentioned, A really quick line out from Ohio State, catching the Notre Dame defense unprepared after that excellent kick. Seemingly gave them a little bit of breathing room as a run from Simons gets Ohio State even closer.
Credit to the Notre Dame forwards. They are quick, and they will stop you up front if they get the launch hard enough.
That could be why Ohio State opted to go quickly, is to avoid that from happening, as they're back deep inside Notre Dame territory. It's
absolutely, and if they can take up the space.
Great tackle there as Matt Williams saves a try. And it looks like potentially Ohio State may have stepped into touch, leading to a turnover. So we have a discussion between the line judge and the main official. And looks like the Ohio State players are more dissatisfied with the result of that conversation, at least for now, as it looks like we're setting up for a scrum here inside the 22 of the Irish.
So an excellent defensive move. Once again, Notre Dame backed up all the way, is able to pull another defensive stop at a very crucial moment.
Imer with it to throw it into the scrum. We've gotten word on clarity on that situation. It was ruled a forward pass against Ohio State.
So Ohio State just unlucky, turning it over when faced with an excellent opportunity for a go-ahead try.
This is a crucial scrum for Notre Dame. We've seen Ohio State take the ball in some of these scrums. This one, though, Notre Dame does control. One-handed catch from Matt Prame before he's brought down. High arching kick will go into touch and bounce into the stands. Decent crowd on hand tonight as people continue to trickle in and stand along the side of the fence, as both green and red aptly represented in the crowd. And so it will be a line out for Ohio State back on the field, as they will certainly go slower with this one.
And this one will be called back because it was not straight. So Notre Dame will opt for a scrum.
After winning their last one, they opt to go back that route. So they're just on their side of midfield.
And Ohio State's got some very strong players, especially in that front row. So Notre Dame has to work pretty hard to get the ball out as quick as possible to avoid the scrum being pushed the Buckeyes' way.
Out of the scrum, it is Notre Dame ball. So a successful scrum for them. Putka knocks his fellow number 10 down as Pixton fell to the ground, but Putka stayed on his feet. And now it's Barnes with a stiff arm as he's across midfield. Passed out wide, and Notre Dame continues their attack on the far side. Pierce to Novak, who cuts back. And that's Matt Williams with the ball. He's brought down. And a knock-on against Notre Dame, and so a turnover for them. Ohio State's defense continuing to force these offensive mistakes for Notre Dame, and that will lead to the Buckeyes taking over possession with just under 8 minutes to go in the first half.
And again, an excellent defensive job right there by the Buckeyes, just getting in their face and forcing another turnover. They've been pretty successful off the scrum and setting up their set plays, so we'll see how they're able to advance up the field here.
Scrum underway. Kicked away by Ohio State, well executed. Another give and go as it's corralled by Jack Dulick. So Ohio State trying that play again. This time Notre Dame up for the challenge.
Ball's on the ground.
We had a whistle and a stoppage of play with 7 minutes to go in a low-scoring first half. It's Ohio State 5, Notre Dame 0. Ohio State with the ball. It will be Aiden Pixton who will look to kick it into touch and try to gain some ground. He does successfully, well executed from Pixton, and so Ohio State really has turned it up after their first try, which seemingly came out of nowhere, but since then they've been much more in control of the ball.
So Ohio State, once again, with another opportunity in favorable field position for them.
Another successful line out.
They're
Here's
setting
Clark
up their
with Notre Dame.
lineouts a lot deeper than Notre Dame is in the channel. Able to connect there. The mechanics look very good for them.
Look at that run into space as it's thrown away by Simons trying to get too aggressive.
And another beautiful insertion by the fullback of Ohio State.
Buckeyes choose to kick for points.
And Notre Dame will be called for not rolling away.
And so with that, Ohio State will turn it over to their most active player to this point so far. Aiden Pixton, number 10, is going to try to kick and increase this lead to a two-score game. Trying to make it 8-0 with a kick for points.
I think this is a good decision by the Buckeyes to go ahead and do that. Again, they've had multiple opportunities in this position, more or less, to punch in a try, but hadn't been able to do so since that first one. So
Certainly an opportunity here for them, as this was a play I was wondering if Notre Dame might try, considering how strong the Ohio State defense was. They haven't opted for it yet, so this is our first kick for points attempt of the game, and it is successful. So a good kick from Aiden Pixton. Again, he's had plenty of good kicks to start this game. That one for 3, and so Ohio State buoys their lead up to 8.
And to your point, I think this is something that Notre Dame will probably try to do later in the game, especially if it's as tight as it is. I definitely think they should keep going for the tries first and foremost. They definitely have the potential to punch one in, maybe even before the half. But again, it's just so evenly matched between the two. It would not surprise me if a kick for points was on the horizon to get on the board for the Irish.
Certainly, Claire. It just seems like a matter of time for this Notre Dame offense, especially with the way they were playing early on. Ohio State certainly found their footing in this game after that first try. Is a tackle made there by Liam Novak.
It's a nice double tackle by the Irish.
Ball knocked forward in the tackle.
And a knock-on called.
And so, again, taking up the space, getting on it early, forcing the mistakes.
Something Ohio State has been so effective at. So Notre Dame giving them a taste of their own medicine there as an aggressive defensive tackle results in a penalty against Ohio State. And so Notre Dame with a scrum at the 10-meter line. It's Ibmer, who's done this plenty of times this season. He's going to feed it into the scrum, and Notre Dame has been successful lately on these, and they will be again as it's kicked well behind the scrum. Putka considers a kick, but hangs on to it. He's brought down past the 10.
And Notre Dame looking for that not rolling away penalty. They will not get it.
Certainly some fans were also looking for that penalty down below us.
Yeah, the scrum half just arms up. Where is it?
Prame is brought down. And Barnes will try his luck. Almost loses it, but he manages to take it to the ground. Miscommunication on the pass. Luckily, no knock-on against the Irish as that ball continued to bounce backwards. And an ankle tackle from Chris Mason for Ohio State as Notre Dame going backwards a little bit here.
And it's good to get shifty with it, of course, but Ohio State is so quick with the launches. They get on those tackles very early. It's just a matter of catching it at speed and trying to go forward as much as possible. If you've noticed, Notre Dame's just been driven back by this diligent defense that the Buckeyes are showing.
Diligent defense in action as Notre Dame did attempt one of those speed plays, but a strong tackle from Ohio State, and so Notre Dame not getting much going here. As now they will is a fake from Chase Pierce, and he's got some space deep into Ohio State territory before he's brought down by Pixton. Another pass all the way out to the left in space for Luke Fielding. He's still on his feet before he's finally brought down. Notre Dame getting the crowd into it as a persistent offensive possession has led them deep into Ohio State territory.
And you can tell that wing has some speed because all Ohio State could try to do was arm tackle, which is just not good form. But unfortunately, Notre Dame will be called for not releasing. So another unfortunate mistake, just driving the Irish back and unfortunately just undoing the great progress that we just saw. So going into the half, just under half a minute to go, Notre Dame has got to be more diligent about cleaning up those little calls.
As a toe tap of sorts from Luke Fielding on that kickoff. A great play from him to keep it in bounds. Now it will be touchdown in the tri-zone by the Buckeyes.
And so that will result in the goal line dropout for the Buckeyes as time has expired here at Stinson in this first half.
8-0. Ohio State leads. Kick ends up more in the middle of the field this time. Gathered in by Artis.
And Notre Dame will try and
he's brought down.
Make something out of this final possession, most likely for them, of the half.
This would be a huge time for them to break through and get on the board in this game, as it's Pierce who tries a fake pass and can't get through.
And so Notre Dame will get another chance as they were called for that offsides. Another opportunity for the Irish. And here it is. The kick for points.
Kick for points. And at
what
this
did we
point
tell
in the
you?
half, not a bad move.
Absolutely not.
Certainly something you can build off of in the break for the second half. You know, you can go in, coach can say, hey, we're only down one score.
Absolutely.
We're right in this game, as opposed to, you know, if they had been stopped again here, that's certainly a morale drop for the Irish if they're unable to at least get on the board in this half where they've had the ball so often. So this is a huge kick for them, both on the scoreboard but also, you know, mentally in that locker room.
For sure.
Certainly just wanting to get on the board in this tight match and bring it back to within one score.
Absolutely. Get on the board here. Make the adjustments at the half. Again, they're looking good on the attack. It's just these little mistakes here and there, especially as they push up towards the try line. This one, unfortunately, unsuccessful.
No Ardis misses it to the right, and so that effort to get on the board falls short for Notre Dame, and so they'll go into the first half break trailing by 8 to Ohio State, and really Ohio State's defense showed out to play in that second half. So we're going to take a quick break as we head into the first half of our first game of this doubleheader on Friday night. We'll see you in a couple minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back as we are getting set to start the second half of our game. Both teams switch sides as it's now going to be Notre Dame going from left to right and Ohio State from right to left. The last 40 minutes of this one, it's a low-scoring affair so far. 8-0 for Ohio State. One try, one kick for points. Notre Dame has been knocking on the door all half in the first half, but couldn't break through. We saw them try to kick for 3 at the end of that first half unsuccessfully. So what has to change for them if they're going to get on the board in this game?
Yeah, they gotta play their game. I mean, they look really strong, really good as they advance up the field. Unfortunately, as they close into their try line, especially within the 22, it seems like they're almost getting more frantic as they close in. So, just keeping calm, keeping the pace, stick to what you know, not trying to do too much. Hopefully they can break through and get some points on the board to start this second half. Ohio State is set to receive, so they're going to have to work a little bit harder to get the ball back and start creating opportunities on attack.
Yep, and just as we start this second half, we'd like to alert everyone that tonight's match between the Fighting Irish and the Ohio State Buckeyes is Alumni Reunion Weekend here in South Bend, as we started that second half with a shout out of some of the alumni who are back, some of the rugby players from past times. During the break, we had a brief conversation with a Fighting Irish alumni from 1961 to 1965 as a quick start to the second half during the middle of my speech, as it's a blocked kick and a goal line dropout coming for Ohio State. So Notre Dame aggressive early on to start this second half, and they should be, right? They need that aggression. They need that desperation to try to get back in this game.
Absolutely. This is what they need to see. Again, if they can get this ball back and generate some attack, again, in great field position as they start their advance.
Good run from Patrick McKenzie across the 22 as Notre Dame will get their first possession of the second half here after starting it by kicking away. Out all the way to the left wing. Here's some space for Fielding before he's brought down.
Ooh, and a counter ruck by Ohio State. So right away seeing a lot of aggression there as they almost successfully poached that ball. And
however, a penalty is called against Notre Dame. Does it look like they might have had something going, but not to be, as it's kicked into touch. Well, from Aiden Pixton.
yeah, not only does Notre Dame have to seal the ruck, but again, they have to get there quick. Otherwise, Ohio State, again, super disciplined on defense, and they'll clear them right off, as we kind of saw just now.
Yeah, we saw that no hesitation to go for that counter ruck, and something we'll be on the lookout for in the rest of this second half is a unsuccessful line out from the Buckeyes. So it was Notre Dame who once again has possession. This is eerily similar to how the first half started. So we have
So a good seal right there by the offensive ruckers. A strong run up the middle.
behind the play, Aiden Pixton grabbing his left leg, lower leg area, seemingly shaken up a bit, but he looks like he's going to stay in there, albeit gingerly, as Notre Dame not able to take advantage of that situation, as the other 14 red jerseys really strong on the defensive side, and a whistle stops play, and Pixton still hanging in there, shaking that left foot area out, trying to stay in there. He's obviously been a critical part of this Ohio State team and why they're winning so far, as we're for about 44 minutes into this match, and he's really shined both with his foot but also on defense.
So Notre Dame, another opportunity off a set play, trying to get something going for the attack.
Chavez moves it across midfield. Emmett Chavez has had a strong start to this game. Notre Dame moves it out to the right. Ohio State discipline on defense as it's Artis who's brought down.
One thing I'm noticing on the wing there, very quick, but you have to stay behind, otherwise you rule yourself off as an option. And so just a little thing there on the end.
Long pass from Prame. Fielding with room, fielding to the middle, and he's just brought down. Gets back up, though, before he's tackled again. Almost broke free for the first score for Notre Dame. But Clamrock now tries to push it through the middle. Picked up by Jackson Graham. Did well to avoid a knock-on. Quick pass. Springs a man. It's Williams. And he's all the way in, and Notre Dame strikes. It's 8-5.
And that is what they have been searching for all match long. Finding that gap, one little shift move inwards, and they're in for the try. And hopefully then we'll set up what seems to be an easier conversion for their kicker. And so if they can get this one through, Ohio State's lead drops to 1.
Artis will kick it from pretty much center cut as Williams did a good job both scoring in the middle but then grounding it right between the uprights. So we're just over 5 minutes into the second half, and Notre Dame has rejuvenated the crowd, rejuvenated themselves as they're back to within 3 points and potential to make it 1 on this conversion. Besides the play, there is another Buckeye down. Can't quite see who that is, but he's being tended to. So certainly something concerning for the Buckeyes as the conversion attempt is good. So the score is, as you mentioned, Claire, down to 1 point lead for Ohio State. 8-7, 6 minutes into the second half, and Notre Dame will be getting the ball back.
Absolutely, and this is, again, what they have needed. Quick strike up the field, finding the try zone, and now they are set up to receive the ball once more. Hopefully this is a momentum shift for them that they've been needing all game, because, again, seeing a lot of flashes of brilliance there, but hadn't quite been able to find the try zone. So now that that first hurdle has been cleared, hopefully the gates will open for the Irish.
Certainly we saw a huge momentum shift early in the first half as it was Notre Dame, and then it was Ohio State with that just seemingly out of nowhere, the snap of your fingers, just that first try of the game, and then they kind of controlled the first half from that point on as this one is kicked into touch by the Irish. And that quick strike from Matt Williams, who's obviously been very active in this game, both throwing it in on the lineouts and also scoring that huge tries. Maybe this is Notre Dame's chance on the momentum shift to get back into this one and retake the lead potentially here on this possession.
Absolutely, another critical line out as we've seen all game.
It was number 9, Jack Dulick, who was injured for the Buckeyes.
Notre Dame looks like they have 2 jumpers. Ohio State opts for the shallow one.
We've seen them go deep numerous times in this game, but as you mentioned, they do go for the shallow one there. Another block kick. Mike McClamrock with the block. We've seen 2 block kicks, but
and Notre Dame will be called for
penalty
not
is called,
rolling away.
much to the dismay of some of the crowd in attendance. As you can tell, Notre Dame feeling it right now.
Absolutely. They're playing with some new energy, which had been seemingly drained by the end of the first half, but they are very much still in this.
Certainly are only down 1. We go back to that missed kick at the end of the first half from Artis, who's had a strong game, but that's one he definitely wants back. And if he had been able to make this, Notre Dame would all of a sudden be in the lead in this game. Not to be, though, as it's Ohio State still up 8-7. Chris Thornton is brought down on the tackle from Williams. And he's fired up. Williams is a penalty called against Ohio State, and so Notre Dame retakes possession, and Butka will have a chance to kick this into touch into Ohio State territory, and Notre Dame will get a huge chance to score as the kick is deep and into touch at about the 22, and so Notre Dame with all the momentum right now, and they're knocking on the door.
Entered the ruck through the side is the call. Thanks, Coach Dickey.
Williams to throw it in. Notre Dame collects it. McKenzie try to run it through. He's brought to the ground. Quick pass to Williams as he's now operating on the right. Hands it off on an offload to Pierce. Pierce down near the 5. Notre Dame. Much more pep in the step on offense. Still not in though. Barnes, is he in? He is! Notre Dame takes the lead on a try from John Barnes.
And it really looks like Notre Dame has just settled down again as they approach the try zone, and it is showing. They have entered the second half now. 2 unanswered scores by the Irish. Again, sticking to what they know. 1, 2, 3 passes out, finding the gap, and a strong run right there to finish the job. So excellent play by the Irish, and they are looking pretty good right now.
This is a seemingly, potentially large conversion attempt here, as an unsuccessful conversion would keep the lead for Notre Dame at 4 at 12-8, meaning an Ohio State try would put them in the lead instantly, whereas a successful conversion here makes it a little bit more pressure-filled for the Buckeyes, as they would need the try and the conversion. So a try on the wing wouldn't do them much good. It would obviously bring the score closer, but it all comes down to this kick with 29 minutes remaining in the second half. And it's good. And so Notre Dame up to a 14-8 lead. As you mentioned, those back-to-back unanswered tries to start the second half. Certainly something was said in that huddle between the first and the second half that has got them going so far.
Absolutely, and we haven't seen much of Ohio State offensively. Just the possession has been pretty lopsided thus far in the half, and that is working to the Irish's favor. And they will receive the ball another time.
It's a good point that you mentioned, Claire. It's hard to win in this sport when you're out time of possession. Is look at Barnes go. Another man beat. He's still going. Finally, it takes 3 Buckeyes to bring him down. What a run from John Barnes. But a penalty at the end of all of that, not releasing the call, and so a strong run from Barnes results in a turnover at the end, as he beat 13 of the 15 Ohio State players, but fortunately for him, just couldn't get by the last line of defense.
And that's the thing. You can advance as much as you want and have an amazing run like we just see, as we've just seen. But again, just those little penalties, they will come back to bite you for sure.
Good to see Aiden Pixton back on the field for the Buckeyes, seemingly no longer limping, so a good sign for them. As we mentioned, he's been really active for them in their first half. And the point I was making before I want to get back to it, it's hard to win in this sport when you are beat in terms of time of possession. We saw Ohio State jump out to a 2-score lead in the first half despite being outpossessed. But that's kind of come back to bite them in the butt a little bit in the second half, as Notre Dame has been strong on offense, finally punching through into that try zone and taking that 6-point lead that they currently have.
And the Irish must be thrilled, because that scrum looked absolutely excellent, much more improved than what we saw in the first half. And that led to that big run right there by Matt Prame.
Yeah, it was a great run. Notre Dame, once again with the ball in Ohio State territory, certainly seems like they're feeling it. I know I've said that a couple times, but really not only are they possessing the ball, but they're breaking through the Ohio State defense in a way that they just weren't in the first half. And that's led to these 14 points and potentially more as it's flipped along. And Notre Dame continues to set up their attack. They'll start their press to the right a little bit. Middle/right of the field. Putka will try to kick it. Trying to connect with Drake Schaffner, but unable to as it rolls out of bounds into touch. And so a decent attempt from Putka to Schaffner, but
yeah, that was an excellent attempt right there. Unfortunately, just couldn't ground it. But again, seeing the space out wide, that was good vision. And it's up to the bounce usually on those kicks. If it, bounces in your favor, it can make it very easy. But the kick just a little strong right there. But nevertheless, an excellent attempt to try and extend the lead.
Yeah, we were seeing Notre Dame getting creative on the offenses. Obviously stymied for the first 40 minutes. Certainly broke through here to start the second half, but that was a different attempt. We haven't really seen them try set play like that too often on the kick for the try. And it'll be Ohio State, speaking of kicks, who will boot it away. Goes into Notre Dame's half before Fielding picks it up. He looks like he's going to kick it, and he does. Right into the hands. And a fake kick. Look at that play from the Buckeyes. Does that look like Hunter Simons with the creativity? So we get a little game of tennis going on with the feet. As a good kick sends Pixton all the way back near his try line where he will down it. And so with 24:15 to go in the second half, it's Ohio State ball backed up on their own try line.
And again, with the momentum, you can't let a team like Notre Dame get hot. We've seen it time and time again when they can go on these runs, when they can go on these streaks. It can be defensively just exhausting to try and stop it.
Strong kick is corralled by Putka. He considers his options before trying to run right through that Ohio State defender. Strong tackle from Ian Fairfield. His brother Connor Fairfield with the first and only try for Ohio State is Ian there with a good tackle. It's Putka again trying to break through. He's brought down by the ankles.
And looks like the Buckeyes will be called for the offsides.
So Notre Dame with another big chance as it's Putka with the ball in his hand. Certainly looks like he'll try to kick it into touch. Try to get as close to that try line as possible. Sails a little bit to the left, so at about the 22 will be a Notre Dame line out. As we're just about 17 minutes into the second half. It's the first of two games on this Friday evening. We've got the varsity game here between Ohio State and Notre Dame, and then the two teams, JV teams, will battle it out starting at 7:45. So certainly stick around to watch that one as we've got plenty more exciting rugby to go this evening. But for now, we're in a tight game. We mentioned Ohio State, no stranger to these tight games so far this season. Right now on the wrong side of it. They've been on the right side the last two games as they need something to change the momentum in this game as it's all Notre Dame right now with 14 unanswered points and possession inside the 22. Chase Pierce will roll for a few meters. 3 straight passes out to the left, but it's bobbled and dropped by Fielding, so Ohio State playing on advantage.
Will play with advantage off of the Irish knock-on.
As a knock-on against Fielding is still not called. Notre Dame needs to force a turnover just to not have Ohio State playing with advantage. So although Ohio State deep in their own territory right now, a chance for them. Try to get up the field a little bit.
And Ohio State had the overload there. If they had just gotten it out to the wing for one more, could have easily been gone.
Kick stays in bounds.
Kick will stay in bounds and is fielded by Artis. Artis kicks it right into the hands of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Couple juke moves. Pass is corralled. Pixton bobbled but came up with it. Ohio State on the left side, not right by us. It's Eddie Markson trying to bulldoze his way through 2 Irish defenders unsuccessfully. Similar attempt, also unsuccessful. A drop and a knock-on against Ohio State, so a crucial mistake is DePero couldn't corral that pass, and so Notre Dame ball on Ohio State's half, as we had a couple substitutions coming into the game as we approach the final quarter, the back half of the second half, as we're just 30 seconds away from getting halfway through this exciting second half that's seen Notre Dame really come out and sort of dominate for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. In the first half, it would look to be all Ohio State, and has the story changed here in the second half? It has been all Irish. And again, cleaning up those little mistakes, finding the try zone, especially as they close in. It's been such a game changer for them. Ohio State's defense remains pretty diligent, but letting some things slip here and there, leading to Irish tries.
Schaffner tries to break off a hit. Stiff arm attempt. And it's Williams brought down. Long pass to the left side, but a drop and a knock-on called as both teams couple knock-ons in the recent minutes, and it's going to be Ohio State the beneficiary of this one as they take over possession, needing a score.
So another opportunity off the scrum, unfortunately just knocked on by the Irish. And so Ohio State will have the opportunity off the set play to try and generate some attack.
You mentioned, Claire, it will be a scrum for the Buckeyes. They will opt for that play as they are just about, give or take, 13 meters from midfield. Long way to go for them. They need a spark. They need something here as it's a strong tackle by Prame. Pixton will kick it away. Collected on one bounce by Fielding, who has it slip away. Kicked near the Notre Dame try zone. Only one white jersey back, and it's Artis.
Artis cleans it up.
Comes up with it and grounds it, so a huge break for Notre Dame as Artis collected that squibbling, bouncing kick and grounds it to save the try, and so Ohio State, an opportunity there gone to waste.
Absolutely, very fortunate play for the Irish, just outrunning the Buckeyes to save that try, because that was looking a little risky for them.
It was Fielding, who's had a really strong game. We've noticed him a lot early on and even in parts of the second half, but a bobble there and a drop that almost cost the Irish, but picked up by his teammate Colin Artis, and so Ohio State will go quickly again. It's Mason with the ball. He's spun to the ground on a strong tackle. Flip to Markson, who tries to go against the grain, and
good on Williams there, adjusting his hands to avoid the high tackle.
Clark powers through for a couple more. Pixton will try a kick. Will it stay in? No, it goes into touch as Fairfield tried to chase it down on the right side, just bounced away from him. It's always with the rugby ball, you never know what kind of bounce it's going to take on the kick. We saw earlier in the second half, Putka try to place one perfectly in the try zone for Schaffner to run onto, but it didn't take the bounce he wanted, and kind of a similar situation there between Pixton and Fairfield.
Yeah, definitely a risk with those chip kicks, and you know, again, reading the space very well, trying to put the ball into the right position, but again, it's difficult with that bounce if you can't catch it in the air. So unlucky for Ohio State, although it seems like they've come up with this line out.
Yeah, speaking of catching in the air, it was Will Riley who intercepted that line out for Ohio State, and so they, once again with the ball, They've certainly played a little bit better recently. It's collected on the left side.
Good
Buckeyes
move. Good
in
move
past
out.
the 22.
Good move out to the wing.
Certainly trying to use that wing for speed and trying to break through this stout Irish defense. They've really done a good job. Only one big play in that first half, but other than that, they've really been strong against Ohio State as a penalty is called.
So Notre
against Notre Dame
will be called for diving over.
It looks like Buckeyes kick out of the try zone.
as it looks like a mistake by the Ohio State Buckeyes.
It'll be an Irish scrum.
The Irish.
So an Irish scrum is all of a sudden Notre Dame with the ball back is seemingly Ohio State's best chance in the second half. Certainly their best chance. It's seemingly a real good opportunity for them to potentially even take the lead in this game with a quick strike, but doesn't work out for them, and so Notre Dame will take over via the scrum as they make a substitution. It's Schaffner out. Couldn't quite see who he came in for him, but either way, Notre Dame getting fresh legs on the field.
Daniel Baptist.
It's Dan Baptist in for Notre Dame. Kicked into touch from right along the right side as Mayer just had to relieve the pressure.
Buckeye line out.
So a line out for Ohio State. Maximus Clark. Big opportunity here. Successful line out really opens the door for Ohio State here. Unsuccessful one would be a huge miss in this point of the game with 14 minutes to go. They need something. They need it soon. They don't want to let Notre Dame retake possession, potentially expand this lead.
Absolutely, and again, they're in good position here.
Buckeyes playing with the advantage.
And they will be called for obstruction.
But we'll go back to
And
the
so the Irish, they will play
Advantage, I believe.
advantage, yes. Thank you.
Yep. So it will be a scrum for Ohio State. They dodge a bullet there as it looked like Notre Dame might be forcing that turnover, but with Ohio State playing on advantage, they will take advantage of that, per se. And so at about the 22, it's their ball. Notre Dame's more of a passive defensive line here. We've seen Ohio State really get up on the ball. Notre Dame a little bit further back, so they get more momentum for their tackles, and here they go. So it's Mason who gets a couple meters before he's brought down. Pixton will pass it along. It's almost dropped, but still collected by his intended target. So Notre Dame defense really for the first time in this half being put to a strong test. They've been good in limited attempts so far, but an odd man situation out to the left. Mason with a fake pass attempt.
Ohio State seeing the overload, and they get it
seeing
in.
the try line.
and score the try.
So Ohio State cuts the deficit to 1 all of a sudden. As on the left side of the field, they managed to ground it in the try zone. So the score goes to 14-13 in a gigantic conversion attempt coming up.
Yeah, right here. The Buckeyes with the opportunity to take the lead, but going back to that scoring drive and that scoring play in particular, excellent read by the offense, finding the gaps, finding the overload that they had, and taking advantage of the mismatch on the end. A strong run to seal the deal for them.
So will be, of course, Aiden Pixton, who's been doing all the kicking for Ohio State, lining up his attempt from the left side between the 5 and the 15 from the sideline. So certainly not right down the middle, but a kick that certainly could make based on what we've seen today, for sure. Here he goes. It is up, and it's sailing, and it's wide, right? And so Notre Dame will stay in the lead, 14-13.
14-13.
What a game, what a finish this is shaping up to be, Claire.
Absolutely. If you go back to what we saw last season, drastically different look here for the Irish, keeping it very close. You saw, even with the struggles in the first half, they've managed to, lean in and keep the lead to where it is. Excellent opportunity for the Irish. And a strong comeback in the second half. But
Notre
it's
Dame yet to win. Sorry, Claire. Notre Dame yet to win this season when trailing in the second half. So this would be a huge win for them. But Ohio State obviously not going away easy with that try. And
I was going to
suddenly
say,
within one.
there is a lot of time left, and anything can happen in these 10 minutes left.
Certainly a lot of rugby to be played. So you can sense the tension in the crowd. You can sense you can just sense how exciting this finish is going to be. Everyone knows it. Everyone's excited, and it's a 1-point game. Notre Dame leads. It is a penalty for offsides against Ohio State. So Notre Dame with an opportunity here in the Ohio State half to try to add on to that lead and give themselves some breathing room that they have lost in the last couple minutes.
And you can see the desperation that the Buckeyes are playing with. And unfortunately, in that desperation, was offsides. So Notre Dame once again knocking on the door if they can get this line out, which, again, been a little shaky this game. Has improved, but again, you have to get the timing right. You have to get the mechanics all the way through.
Looks like an injury. Notre Dame's first man down of this match. So the clock stops, a rare stoppage, with 9:20 to go in the second half. And a seemingly strong, enthusiastic, one might say, handshake routine between Matt Prame and Dan Baptist, who's just into the game, as they are fired up for the last 9:20 of this one, as seemingly all of us are, as both us in the booth and PA announcer to my right, everyone in the stands, and obviously the players themselves too. What a finish this is going to be. Hard to say it enough based on how good of a game this is, and what a night for rugby.
Absolutely. If this goes either way, it'll be an exciting one for sure. Notre Dame had gained a lot of momentum coming into the second half, and Ohio State not letting up just yet, finding their way to cut the lead. And so both teams playing with a lot on the line here.
Always good to see two classic rivals like this go at it, and even better to see the quality of the game we're getting. Is it Ryan Putka, who's up, and he'll stay in the match. He's feeling all right, so a great sign for Notre Dame, as he's one of their most crucial pieces on both sides of the ball. Shallow throw is collected by Chase Pierce, so a successful line out for the Irish.
And that
really
is
good setup for them here.
That is critical, again, as they try to look for the try zone once again and extend their lead to a more comfortable margin.
Certainly it's going to be hard to get an opportunity better than this. Putka's high kick knocked around, but it's picked up by Pixton, and so well defended by Ohio State, and they've got the ball back, as it's a strong tackle from Prame, not letting his man go, and here goes Ohio State.
These rucks are looking more and more aggressive as Notre Dame is trying to find the poach.
Another block. Third blocked kick of the half for the Irish. Collected, though, by the Buckeyes.
Yeah, talk about offense, defense, and special teams all into one for those football fans out there.
So we've seen Notre Dame really jump the gun, and knowing Ohio State's main game plan to try to kick it away, get it to number 10, try to just kick it away. But
Notre Dame called for offsides once again. Little eager there to try and poach the ball out.
so Ohio State ball, they're still deep in their own territory. They gain a little bit of ground with that kick, gets past the 22. So a chance for the Buckeyes with 7.5 minutes to go, but a long field in front of them.
Absolutely, and again, setting up another line out well into their own territory. They're going to have to make up a lot of ground on this next drive.
Certainly it would seem like a timely moment for one of those big runs through a crack in the Irish defense. Notre Dame really doing a good job on the defensive side so far in this half and in this game, really. But we saw in the first half Ohio State score on a quick developing play, and something they're going to have to do again, it seems, especially if they want to score in this possession, as the first line out is whistled down. Baptist will change positions. There's a little bit of maneuvering for the Irish.
It looks like he will go to fullback. And Ohio State will redo this line out. And again, they use the space very well, so just not doing too much, staying with what they know, slowly, methodically pushing their way, advancing down the field and trying to punch in another score to regain the lead.
It's a strong tackle by Williams. He's had a very strong game for Notre Dame, one of the leaders on this Irish team. Certainly playing like it today as well. As Notre Dame defense standing strong.
They look really good right now. They're really pushing Ohio State back into their own territory.
Fielding will collect the kick. Runs almost fully across the field. Dangerous pass, but well done by McKenzie to collect it for Notre Dame.
A super low ruck by Jordan to seal that for the Irish as they move across.
James Jordan, number 23, replaced Dan Baptist on this position closest to us, and he's in the game for the first time. You mentioned that low ruck, something that he can help provide anything for this team in this kind of game, this one-point game. Obviously, you're just looking for everyone to just chip in a little bit and find a way to bring this home. It's a real
Notre Dame
special thing when you can win
for diving over.
Diving over is the call, as you mentioned. So Ohio State with the balls.
So after a very strong ruck, bit of a messier one, leading to that call. And so Ohio State deep kick.
Oh, what a kick. As it's Aiden Pixton again. I mean, what a game he's had this evening. Inside the 22 are the Buckeyes.
So Ohio State, again, another opportunity. I'd love to see their backs get into it. They have been excellent with the offloads. I'd love to see their fullback inserting, creating an overload, spreading the defense thin. It's worked for them in the first half. We haven't seen it much in the second as a maul starts to develop. And so Notre Dame will try to hold them up, but they get it out.
Buckeyes still with possession. Inside Notre Dame territory, still trailing one. Notre Dame obviously has to be careful not to take a penalty and risk a potential kick for points for Ohio State, as 3 points would put them ahead and put Notre Dame behind 2.
And they knock it
They do
on.
avoid the penalty. In fact, it's Ohio State who gets charged. So it'll be a scrum for the Irish as the crowd gets fired up with 3:40 to go in the second half. Notre Dame leading Ohio State 14-13.
Wow, what a costly mistake for the Buckeyes as they got so far up the field with an excellent opportunity, and just that mistake there undoing a lot of that progress. So unfortunate for the Buckeyes, but good for the Irish as they try to clear this one out.
Time continues to tick as we're just over 3 minutes in the second half. 3 minutes left in this really intense game. Intense start to finish. We knew coming in it was going to be a good matchup between these two rivals, and we got treated to a good game in the first half. It was Ohio State, whose defense dominated, but in the second half, Notre Dame certainly up to the challenge. And they currently cling to a 1-point lead deep inside their own half, so a huge possession here for them, trying to avoid any costly mistakes.
Irish get the kick away.
Kick is not blocked. It's a good job by Notre Dame to prevent the block, but a strong run. Ohio State getting close, offload, and it's grounded inside the 5. Ohio State on the doorstep.
And they'll try and push one through. A lot of traffic there as the Notre Dame goal line defense sets up. They've been successful at it earlier in this game. Can they maintain that?
So far, so good. Ohio State right there, but it's dropped and collected by Barnes. What defense from the Irish.
Just another costly mistake. Ball security becoming an issue for the Buckeyes.
Kick is high, doesn't get too far. It's in the hands of Connor Fairfield, but it's turned over. Notre Dame with another stop as we're about 1 minute and 10 seconds to go in the game, as it's Notre Dame with a defensive stand right now. Ohio State putting that pressure on. Notre Dame withstanding it, and they have the ball, but still deep in their own side, so anything can still happen in this final minute.
And looks like they will be called for not releasing. Another miscue that will set them back once again.
Reminder that the referee will be keeping time on the field for the last 2 minutes of this match.
So interesting decision here for Ohio State. The penalty on Notre Dame along the right side of the field.
And do they kick here?
That's the question. It's a tough angle.
Buckeyes choose to kick for
and they
points.
will kick. So more or less, the game could come down to the result of this kick. It
has been a long time since we've seen something like this happening at Stinson. Very exciting indeed. I think Notre Dame will put some runners to try and make this even more difficult for the Buckeyes. The crowd
will also contribute to that, Claire, as Notre Dame fans stomping their feet on the metal bleachers. The time on our scoreboard has expired. It's the ref's official clock, though, that matters. So here we go. Pixton versus the uprights. Will he get it through from the right side? The kick is up. And it misses to the right. It is no good. No good on the kick. And so Notre Dame survives, and they still lead 14-13.
Still game to play.
It is not over here, and the ref is trying to motion them over.
So just about done here, but not yet. Notre Dame with the ball.
To hurry up the play so they don't get penalized.
And Ohio State anticipating a kick, set up deep, trying to make one more stand. And it looks like
What have
Notre
we
Dame
here?
will be penalized.
What a break
Excuse
this
me,
would
a
be for the Buckeyes.
Scrum down to the Buckeyes.
Notre Dame penalized for delay of game.
Delay of game seems to be the call on the field, so don't turn this one off yet, as Ohio State, gets another chance with no time on the clock. Last
Thing is,
possession for them.
I couldn't tell if that was strategic because, I mean, the Notre Dame forwards have been looking really good on the scrums as of late, so they do have an opportunity here. And it looks like the pushing has started a little early, so the ref will call the scrum and redo that.
What an interesting play that would be, to intentionally take a penalty, knowing that all you got to do is win a scrum. It's obviously easier said than done, but Notre Dame, obviously, if that's the case, confident in their abilities on this scrum.
Absolutely, because if they took the kick right there and then, Ohio State has an almost guaranteed chance of running it back, either within play or off a line out.
Space on the left side. Mason brought down.
Number 13, Cam
Teza on the tackle. Ohio State on the doorstep again. Notre Dame being put to the test on defense.
And another goal line
strong.
stand for Notre Dame. Just outside the 5.
And we get a penalty called
And
against
so
Notre Dame.
called for entering the ruck on the side. And they will be backed up to their own try line.
Buckeyes will try for points.
And Ohio State again opting to kick for points. And so that first attempt did not end up being the last attempt, as the last second 3-point play, another attempt coming for Pixton.
This
Just
one had a more favorable angle.
Certainly a more favorable angle.
And so Notre Dame will also put runners as they're being ushered to back up a bit. And so they will try to disrupt this kick as best they can. The crowd trying to make as much noise as possible.
What a finish to what a game we've had today at Stinson Rugby Field. Pixton gets a rematch with the Uprights, this time to the left of them. Eyes it up.
The tensions are up here at Stinson. Here it goes. And they get it.
And it's good. It's good, and Ohio State takes the lead.
A walk-off kick for the Buckeyes here at Stinson. What a finish. After letting up a little bit early in that second half, letting the Irish regain the lead, they have finished the job here at Stinson. It is 16-14 to the Buckeyes.
What a thrilling game. What a thrilling finish, as Pixton getting that redemption chance. 2 kicks with no time on the clock. Makes the second one to ice the game. Ohio State with their 3rd straight win. They take it 16-14.
And credit to Notre Dame. I mean, last season, this Ohio State team got the better of them. So, again, keeping it very close here at Stinson. I mean, they had a lot going for them. Unfortunately, just not quite able to finish. But well done to the Buckeyes for closing this one out.
An instant classic on a Friday night in September in South Bend. We're going to take a quick break as we take some time off between the varsity and the JV games. It's Ohio State 16, Notre Dame 14 on the first half of our doubleheader. Stay with us for the JV game in a little bit. Welcome back as we get set, and we're underway in the second leg of our doubleheader this evening. It's Notre Dame in the navy blue jerseys facing off against Ohio State in the red and gray with the white shorts, as it's Ohio State with first possession of the ball in this one, as they clinched victory as time was expired in the first half for a doubleheader in the varsity side with a 16-14 win. They've now won 3 straight games. For the Notre Dame JV team, a big chance to bounce back after a tough weekend last weekend, as they will take a penalty early on. And so controlled possession for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, those penalties, they were pretty costly last weekend in their 2 matches against Marion and Grand Valley State. So just something to look out for as they progress in this game. Can they clean up those offsides in particular that really set them back in that last match? So once again, just cleaning up these little errors. They practice this throughout the week. So again, just trying to see if they can, make that improvement there, especially on the defense.
Kicked into touch. Line out coming up. Notre Dame will be the ones to throw it in. And they will control. So the Irish, we get the first look at Notre Dame's offense. Zach Phillips trying to burst through the Buckeyes line. Danny Mendler now. He's tackled past the 10. Over near the left, it's dropped in and out of the hands of Patrick Murphy, and so Ohio State will play on advantage as they start their first attack.
An early launch there by Notre Dame, getting up early, getting in their face, and they will be called back for the advantage.
So it will remain Ohio State ball. As you mentioned, they had been playing on advantage, so they continue with that. What a game we were treated to just a couple minutes ago in the first half of our doubleheader. Ohio State came away with the 16-14 win. Notre Dame's JV team obviously looking for different results, as head referee having a conversation with both teams just 3 minutes and change into this first half.
And so a look at our first scrum here of this JV side. And the scrum twists around.
It is Ohio State. That comes away with it off the scrum, however. Long pass out to the left. And against the grain feed.
And the backs are getting creative early into this match with a skip pass out to the wing, pocket pass on the inside, and they're off.
Yeah, look at that rush. As the Buckeyes first to get through the other team's defensive line. They're into Notre Dame's side of the field, but
gotta
he's
stay
tackled
in bounds.
into touch, does not stay in bounds, and so will be Notre Dame taking over on the turnover.
Classic there for the wing. Just have to be mindful and not run or get tackled out into touch. Again, just opportunity for the Irish with the turnover.
Successful line out for the Irish, but a pass is intercepted, but there's a stoppage as it Seemed like Ohio State may have a fast break opportunity, but called back. And so a scrum coming. Ohio State scrum on the offensive side of the field for them. So that long run leading to their first scoring opportunity about 4 minutes into this first half. Ohio State broke the ice last game despite Notre Dame possessing the ball for long stretches. And this game of possession is obviously, it's early, but it's been pretty even so far, and it's Ohio State once again looking to jump out to that 5-0 lead.
Absolutely, and in a game as tight as what we saw last match, again, just when the opportunity arises, it's just a matter of taking advantage, excuse me.
It's Ohio State looking to take advantage of a lucky break as an errant pass had bobbled around into their own possession, but they will not take advantage as they succumb to the knock-on. So it will be Notre Dame's ball.
And Ohio State liking that skip pass out to the wing, trying to get it into space really quick, maybe trying to catch the Irish off guard, especially on that wing. Unfortunately for them, just knocked on there. But trying to push the pace early in this match.
Certainly almost every minute of this doubleheader so far, and seemingly looking like it's going to be tight throughout as we get a whistle off the scrum, so that looks like they'll do it again.
We'll try it again.
And so another error on the scrum. They're going to have to redo that one. Again, it's difficult, especially if there's a mismatch.
Owen Portelli with it in his hands. He's going to feed it into the scrum as we're 7 minutes in to this JV match between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
The
John
Irish
Murphy's brought down.
Off to a fast start off the scrum, and Ohio State getting called for not rolling away.
So an opportunity for Notre Dame to gain some ground. That kick looks like it will stay in bounds, however. Bobbled, but received, and strong tackle from Patrick Mulligan for Notre Dame as Ohio State will move towards the left side of the field now. Still going that direction as it's Notre Dame's defensive line still standing strong. Finally brought to the ground. And Ohio State will now go back the other way. Good tackle from Collie Erden, staying with his man. Some space for the Buckeyes, but a strong tackle again. Portelli on that one. As Notre Dame continuing to be strong on the defensive side, and they force a penalty, and that leads to a turnover. So Notre Dame kick it into touch. They will have a line out on just their side of midfield. So
again,
a couple meters on that kick, but not as many as they perhaps would have liked.
Yeah, again, just capitalizing off the mistakes. There's not much else you can do, especially when these disruptions keep happening. So again, who can take advantage of this and turn it into some attack that will really set the teams apart here?
It's Ohio State taking the ball, but we get another whistle. It's like a penalty against the Irish, so Ohio State will attempt to kick it into touch. It will take a couple bounces into the try zone where it will be grounded.
And so a goal line dropout here for the Irish coming up. And another opportunity for the Buckeyes. Pretty decent field position, although we'll see how far the Irish can kick this. But if they can receive this and get organized on their attack, they're putting themselves in pretty good position to make some moves here.
So what have we here is both teams moving away. Perhaps a stoppage of play before that kick was grounded in the try zone as
Looks like we'll have
a scrum
instead of the
is
kick.
ensuing. And it'll be a Notre Dame scrum as Portelli will feed it in. So much of this first half up to this point being spent on Notre Dame's side with the team still scoreless. Notre Dame's defense standing strong, and we'll get a look at their offense here out of this scrum. It's flipped but dropped. Jack Quinn couldn't hang on to it, and so Ohio State just like that, the ball right back.
Yeah, an unfortunate mistake for the Irish. Just got to get a grasp on it, I guess. But actually, before that knock was an offsides call against the Irish, so they will be back 10.
So
The Buckeyes.
Real chance here for Ohio State. They will kick it into touch. However, looked like that one crossed the try line before going out of bounds. So an unsuccessful kick by the Buckeyes.
Set up a scrum at the 22 for the Irish. So a lot of back and forth here off these little errors from both sides. Hopefully off this set play, the Irish will get an opportunity to reset.
Taken by the Irish in some running room.
Big breakaway
Still on his feet.
by number 28.
Finally brought down is Rocco Perry. Portelli will kick it away. Stays in bounds. Takes a couple bounces before the Buckeyes recover. And they will start their offensive possession from their own 22. Almost instantly it's kicked into touch. A line drive kick. So Notre Dame will take over
Line out for the Irish.
with a line out on Ohio State's side of the field. We haven't seen too much action down here, but a big chance for Notre Dame on the attack. They set their backs up rather deep, trying to use that speed to break through this Ohio State defensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just finding the space, finding the gaps, making 1-2 quick passes out. It's really all it takes to, if you can do that in motion, if you can do that in their face. Notre Dame with a big overload as Ohio State's defense just clumped together in the middle.
Irish go quick out to the wing.
Flipped out all the way to the left side where John Murphy is spun to the ground.
And a good play right there by the wing, trying to save it from going out of touch. Unfortunately, just turning it over.
Couple
And now
quick
we're seeing
offloads from the Buckeyes as
Yep.
they move up the field. And a whistle is
Pass
blown.
goes just a little bit forward.
Forward pass is the ruling, and so Notre Dame, once again,
Notre Dame
you mentioned
scrum.
this, taking advantage of these mistakes. That's the difference in most of these games, and here's a big opportunity for Notre Dame to take advantage of that forward pass by the Buckeyes.
Yeah, and with the second side, it's these mistakes, are, I guess, pretty inevitable. So again, it's just, okay, how do we react to this? How do we move on and try to set ourselves up on the next play quickly, efficiently, and get some attack going to mitigate the effects of that?
So a scrum for the Irish. They've been very effective early on in this area of the game, and they continue to do so as Tom Curran
boots into
kicks
the
it.
corner, chased down by James Jordan. What a tackle.
Couple Irish in on the tackle. So a knock-on is rolled. Notre Dame moving up the field methodically, taking advantage of these mistakes up to this point, as they'll have a scrum inside the 22 and their real first good possession of this half.
So another opportunity within the 22 for the Irish. Again, we've been seeing these quick rolls outwards, and they do have some speed on the wings that we'd love to see take advantage of. Noticing Ohio State clumping a bit on their defense with the backs, creating an overload that Notre Dame could easily exploit.
Jack Quinn trying to gain some ground. Notre Dame moving from right to left. It's Danny Mendler gets a little bit further. Passed out. Tough running from Mulligan. He's brought down to the turf. Penalty called. Notre Dame will go quick. Fortunately, that attempt is unsuccessful as the ref slows it down.
Yeah, just a little technical thing there. You have to take the tap from the spot of the foul. Sometimes in the haste, it doesn't happen.
Big number 4, Collie
Erden breaks a tackle. Almost breaks another one before getting down close to the 5-meter. Short pass lands in the hands of Kurt Atkinson. His pass to Mendler. Doesn't connect, and now it's Ohio State forcing the turnover. And it's their ball. Kicked away on the bounce. John Murphy corrals. Considers a kick, but holds on to it. He's surrounded by red jerseys. Finally brought to the ground. Bertelli chooses to go to the right with it. Couple spins from Erden before he falls. Bertelli's kick is way up there. Juggled, but gathered by the Buckeyes in some space. A lot of space, and no one to beat. Ohio State strikes first on a long try run, and it's 5-0 Buckeyes.
Wow. Yeah, it's difficult, especially when you have someone with much speed like so. I mean, again, just staying disciplined with the tackles, but excellent job to the Buckeyes creating that opportunity off the kick, and it was off to the races with no one able to catch him. So well done right there by the Buckeyes and getting on the board first. It is 5-0.
Second straight time tonight we've seen Ohio State strike first as just an individual effort leading to that first try of the game, that all-important first try of the game. So it's Ohio State 5, Notre Dame 0. 2-point conversion attempt coming up. Tee is placed at about the penalty kick circle if we were playing soccer with the yellow lines, but we're not. So it's a short attempt to try to increase the lead to 7. Kick is up and it is through. So Ohio State with a 7-0 lead as we're just got 21-24 to go in this first half. And so Ohio State on the board first and set to receive a kickoff and looking to maybe double that lead.
Yeah, absolutely. They have momentum going, and especially with that speed, Notre Dame has to do a much more diligent job of taking up the space and not allowing those breakaways as we just saw. So once again, few adjustments here and there. Got to be launching as a line fast together. If it's not together, that's when those breaks can really happen. So again, just not leaving a lot of gaps and room to exploit.
Deep kick from Quinn is received by the Buckeyes well inside their own 22. A forward pass is called, and so another opportunity for the Irish.
Pass by the Buckeyes.
They're
Irish will have the scrum inside.
well positioned in the middle of the field inside Ohio State territory, and a real chance to get on the board themselves. They've been down here a couple times, especially lately in this first half, and this is probably a chance they don't want to miss, especially having fallen behind 7-0.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just setting up the attack, clean passes, and hopefully they can get space. And again, Ohio State has a tendency to leave the wings untouched.
Perry controls the ball out of the scrum.
A little bit of a messy scrum, but the Irish control it nonetheless.
Big push
It's
by number 7, Tom Curran.
Tom Curran who
Keeps
refuses to
driving.
go down.
Keeps
Still
moving
going.
forward.
And
They
looks
built the
like
ball.
A maul seems to be forming.
he will finally be brought down.
Irish look to use the ball.
A whistle. It's like a penalty coming up.
And
And
it
it's
looks
against
like,
the Irish.
yeah,
Pressure on the Irish.
diving over.
We'll have another scrum.
So a scrum coming up. Ohio State in control of this one inside their own 22. Just over 19 minutes to go in this first half. It's Ohio State 7, Notre Dame 0. On the second half of a doubleheader here in South Bend, Indiana at Stinson Rugby Field between Notre Dame and the Buckeyes.
And the scrum just collapses there.
Collapses on the left side.
And so
Penalty on Notre Dame.
Notre Dame will be sent back 10 off that penalty.
Buckeyes in control. Chance to gain some ground by kicking it into touch here.
Ohio State
Kick is high and
kicks for touch.
well into the stands. Bounces under us.
Perfect throw by the man in the Yankees hat.
So a line out upcoming for OSU. $18 minutes left in a first half that has featured very strong defense, similar to what we saw in our first game of the day. Only one score for either team, that coming from the Buckeyes. Long line out is not straight,
Line out is not
so it's
straight.
Notre Dame's ball.
Irish elect for a scrum.
Notre Dame goes for the scrum at 15 meters from the touchline. It's Portelli, who's been active to start this one, who will feed it through. Notre Dame has been very effective on scrums early on in this game, so looking to continue that trend here and start an attack, and they will. John Murphy not finding much room, but manages to hang on to the ball. Matt Scariano is brought to the ground. Irish will try their luck on the right side. Kicked by Drew Artis into the waiting hands of a Buckeye.
And another offside call against the Buckeyes.
Irish attempt the box kick.
So Notre Dame will try and kick this one into touch once more.
And they will successfully. Curran
kicks into touch.
into touch, a couple meters gain, so Notre Dame getting close once
Irish
again.
line out.
Still just trying to break through, trying to get on the board. We saw in the first game Notre Dame could not score in their first half, so in the second one, this JV team really needs to get on the board here, whether it's on this possession, which you'd like it to be if you're a Notre Dame fan, or on the next one, but no matter what, Notre Dame has to find a way, as their offense has been stymied lately on both levels.
And you see the backs in position, trying to get depth. Another offload right there, and a strong run as he's brought to ground.
Scrum half
Look
is
at that
on the
run
left.
from Portelli with a couple juke moves to get through some defenders. All the way out wide,
Murphy
it's
shifts it on.
flipped on. Notre Dame still with it. Couple quick passes towards the center of the field. It's Collie Erden was brought down. Kicked into the gut of an Ohio State player who was able to hang on to that somehow.
The Ohio State player.
But we do get a whistle and a stoppage of play.
Really bad.
The referee will confer with his line judge as to what the call will be.
And the ruling is a knock-on by the Irish. It will be an Ohio State scrum.
So after the conversation between the officials, Ohio State takes over via the scrum at about the 22-meter line. 14-14 to go, and another tight first half between these two teams.
And again, the scrum seemed to collapse, but it doesn't matter because Ohio State knocked it on once more. So another scrum coming, this one to the Irish. And again, haven't seen a lot off these scrums, but again, just another opportunity to try and get something going, try to get on the board and even this one up.
Another opportunity to even this up for Notre Dame. Keep talking about how it's about taking advantage of your opponent's mistakes. Well, certainly mistake there by Ohio State on the knock-on. So Notre Dame with a big chance. Out to the right, a one-handed snag.
Keeps his feet moving, stays in bounds.
Irish are knocking on the door with 13 minutes to go.
Collie Erden.
Erden can't break through on his first effort. Whistle.
And not rolling away.
And what a costly time for that penalty against the Irish. And so Ohio State's
like
defensive line holds.
For losing their feet in the ruck.
And they will kick it into touch. And so they'll have a line out. That kick did not go very far, but at least progresses them so that they're no longer backed up against their own try line.
So another crucial line out here. If Notre Dame can get a hand on this one, they're in good position to get something going.
It is the Buckeyes line out, so tough ask, but we've certainly possible. It is controlled, though, by Ohio State. Well executed on that front for them.
They look to exit with the kick.
Kick is nearly blocked, but makes it to almost midfield. James Jordan receives, offloads it. A couple passes later, it's in the hands of John Murphy. He goes down before he is pushed into touch.
An advantage being played to Notre Dame, coming from a high tackle.
Curran couldn't bust through, so Portelli will try.
Portelli takes it himself.
And the whistle is blown as Notre Dame will
penalty.
take advantage of playing with advantage with under 11 minutes to go in the first half. So they will retain possession of the ball, move back a little bit, move over towards the left side of the field, closer to us. And so they will resume their attack. It's in Tom Curran's hands. He's going to kick it into touch. It was out of bounds inside the 22. So another opportunity for the Irish. They've had so many. Ohio State's defense really standing strong, but another chance for the Irish to break through.
And again, trying to get it out onto the wings. Seen a lot of that, but catching it at pace will definitely help close that gap. And it's not thrown in straight.
Yep, throwing is ruled not straight, so a scrum coming for the Buckeyes is another missed opportunity for the Irish. You could count a couple of those early on, as they've certainly had their chances inside Ohio State territory, but it's just the long run from the Buckeyes early on in this first half. The only scoring so far, they lead 7-0 over the Irish. In a very even first half of this JV game.
Great push by the Irish.
Irish win
Owen Portelli wins the ball.
the scrum. Juggling catch from Tom Curran.
Shot to the back line, but knocked on.
And a knock-on is called as just too many last chance pass attempts for the Irish, and eventually one of them ends up being dropped, and so a turnover.
Yeah, a chaotic phase there for the Irish, unfortunately leading to the knock-on. Trying to do a little too much, getting those passes out before play had even developed, before the receiver was set. So just again, being mindful, having to take it into contact. Sometimes it's just necessary.
Scrum is rotated.
Irish rotate the scrum, win the penalty.
Notre Dame with the ball. Portelli,
Playing with advantage from offside.
as now they are playing with advantage too, so another chance. Mendler is brought down on a strong tackle. Bounces
Murphy cleans it up.
to Murphy.
Patrick Mulligan
Mulligan
takes a break.
dances through a couple. And that is a forward pass as Cansfield could not get it going the right way.
Still alive for the Irish, says
However, they
Brad.
were playing on advantage, so it's still Notre Dame's ball. As
Curran looks to go quick.
Ohio State had a player down who's back up, which is a good sign for them. Kicked into touch
7 minutes
inside
to
the
play in
22,
first half.
so Notre Dame has certainly had the ball here a lot, but Ohio State really doing a good job defending and forcing Notre Dame into mistakes, and that's why it's still 7-0.
And so again, just cleaning up these little mistakes here and there. I think the halftime break will come in handy for both teams. Just need to find a way, cleaning up some of these little errors. And Notre
Free
Dame
ball.
playing with
Irish
advantage for
yet
the
again.
knock-on.
Run from Perry is somewhat successful. Notre Dame now gets to the 5. Big chance here.
Ball out to the backs. That's Patrick Murphy to John Murphy.
Murphy to the other Murphy.
Referee says ball went backwards.
They're still inside the 5 as we get a whistle. And it looks like
Captains will confer.
a meeting with the referee underway with under 6 minutes to go in this first half.
And a red card issued by the referee.
And so Ohio State will now have to find a way with a man down to stop this drive set up for the Irish on the 5. So
That
again,
red card
Ball given to Rocco Perry.
is awarded. Notre Dame
Close, but not quite.
Think they're in. They're not in yet.
The Irish again.
And they are. A last push effort gets
that
Notre
will
Dame
be a
on the board
try
as they strike with a
The
try.
Irish.
It's 7-5.
It's 5-7.
And that was an interesting move there by the Irish, muscling their way in, again facing an inherent overload because they have a man down. The Buckeyes, excuse me, have a man down. It's 14 on 15. And the Irish finding a way to punch one through. Just under 5 minutes left in this half.
Huge score for Notre Dame. Been in and around that area for a large portion of this first half, and certainly should make them feel good to finally punch it in. Tough conversion attempt upcoming for Jack Quinn from a severe angle. He moves it as far back as he can, try to give himself as best a shot as possible. Kick is spinning and will end up short. So Ohio State maintains their 7-5 lead, but for Notre Dame, they're on the board.
Absolutely, and again, they're going to see another chance here to punch another one in before the half as they set up to receive this Buckeye kick.
Certainly that could serve as a big momentum shifter. It was a game of momentum shifts in the varsity match that started at 6, and for this one it's been Ohio State who's been on their heels for most of the game. They did have that very long try run resulting in a 7-0 lead, but finally Notre Dame able to break through on that last physical try to get on the board. Only down 2 now and getting the ball back, so see if that momentum shift can favor them now.
Absolutely, and here we'll see a bunch of strong runs by the forwards trying to move up the field as fast as possible.
By Portelli, Jordan chases.
Look at that kick from Portelli's. A whistle is blown way back at the spot of that kick, however.
So this will be to the Irish,
Offside.
and it's an
Offside
offsides.
Yep. So with under 3 minutes to go in the first half, Irish ball.
And an attempt to keep it in, but unfortunately for the Buckeyes, the kick will be tipped into touch.
So a very good kick from the captain, Tom Curran, allowing Notre Dame to once again set themselves up in good field position at the 22. And they win the line out. And their attack resumes again. It's Zach Phillips who has it. He's brought down. Aaron pass ends up in the hands of Jack Quinn, who almost broke through. Another bouncer. Kicked forward into the hands of John Murphy. Great last effort tackle from Ohio State, as it looked like Notre Dame might have found a way.
Curran keeps it himself, pushes forward.
Curran now to the left. It's given off to Cansfield. He gets close to the 5.
The Irish playing very methodical in this one as they chip it.
Looking for a chase.
Still free.
And Notre Dame.
Notre Dame with a try as Erden got to it. But it's wiped off.
Try.
Wow.
And it'll be another offsides penalty.
Certainly looked like Notre Dame had taken the lead on that play, but wiped off by the referee. And as you mentioned, offsides against the Irish. So with under a minute to play in the first half,
yeah, that's the
Ohio State ball.
That's the thing with those kicks, especially when you're taking them at speed. You have to be behind if you want to receive the kick. You have to be on offense. You have to be behind the kicker in order to be eligible. So just a little technical thing for the Irish right there. It's a goal line dropout for Ohio State.
The kick is short,
Fielded
collected
by
in
Jordan.
stride by
Up
James
by the
Jordan,
wing.
for he is shoved down.
Great counter ruck by the Buckeyes. They've got a
And an
breakaway
Ohio
down
State
the wing.
counter ruck results in another long run down the left
One man
side.
to beat.
Cutback move gets past Drew Artis,
slows it
but he
down enough
recovers.
for the defense to recover.
And just like that, Notre Dame takes it back, and they are forced into touch. And so with time expired in the first half,
Looks like that will be the half.
that will do it
Some great
as
action to end it.
a 7-5 lead for Ohio State after 40 minutes. Both teams with one try. Difference in the game is the conversion from the Buckeyes. Stay with us after the break. We're heading to quick break before getting set for the second half here at Stinson Rugby Field.
everybody, let's give a big hand to our Notre Dame rugby team managers. I love you, Thad. Turns out halftime's not over. Song requests, anyone?
Welcome back to Stinson Rugby Field in South Bend, Indiana. Charlie Morris alongside my partner Claire DeMeo as we are in the final stages of our halftime break. Ohio State had began to take the field to start the second half before regrouping into a huddle. Notre Dame has maintained their huddle throughout the entirety of the halftime. The referees are at midfield getting ready to go. It's Ohio State 7, Notre Dame 5. The difference in the game, a conversion attempt is Ohio State's first try, a long kickoff run from all the way back in their own side resulted in a grounding right in the middle, so an easier conversion attempt, whereas Notre Dame really had to grind tooth and nail for their first try, and they did punch it across, but unfortunately for them, could not get that conversion, so they trailed by 2. So it's going to be the team switching sides as we're about to get set to go underway in this second half. What a first 3 halves of rugby we've had today, Claire, is just an amazing first game in the JV match, capped off by a walk-off kick for points from Ohio State. And here it's been kind of the same deal, low scoring, very strong defense, just 2 evenly matched teams going at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of these games have been extremely close, pretty neck and neck throughout. I think Ohio State and Notre Dame, I've said it before, but they are very evenly matched. And that is good for Notre Dame, you know, as they try to improve their record after a bit of a slower start to the season than they're used to. So once again, just trying to clean up the little mistakes. They're set to receive here. So again, organizing themselves on the attack, getting the ball out quickly, but not too quickly, because that could lead to potential turnovers.
Speaking of potential turnovers right off the kickoff.
Announcer's jinx, my bad, guys.
As we saw it live in action as the routine kickoff is dropped by the Irish, so it's Ohio State playing with advantage and with the lead early on in this second half. Hey, you gotta do the time.
Oh. Yeah, that's my bad. Oh.
Whistle is blown.
Time 39. Good call, good call.
As we
I think that's about right.
are setting up for a scrum. Will be a Fighting Irish scrum
Notre Dame
inside
scrum.
the yellow circle surrounding the center field logo.
So right off the bat, we have multiple knocks here. But again, these things will definitely happen. So again, just regrouping and trying to, you know, make something come from it, I think will be the key.
Certainly Notre Dame with tons of opportunities. Ohio State a little bit more opportunistic on their score in the first half, whereas Notre Dame had it a lot inside the 22, got it inside the 5 twice, and only one of those times managed to get it across for the try. So for them, it's definitely an point of emphasis in that halftime huddle had to be, you know, let's convert on our chances. We're getting the chances. We're playing the right way. We just got to find a way to get it through.
Kick deep, Irish chase.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said there. Again, just it's tough, especially when you're neck to neck. The room for error, the margin of error is just so shallow. So again, just trying to make something come from these little things
Irish player off their feet.
Successful kick from Ohio State. As they not only kick it forward to gain ground, but also recover as it took a funny bounce. But we get a stoppage of play with 36:45 remaining, just in the baby steps, the baby stages of the second half, as we have an injured Buckeye down. He is helped off the field towards the far sideline, so a substitution will be made. Fresh legs for Ohio State into the game.
So a tough loss for the Buckeyes.
Certainly is. Looks like he's putting no weight on either leg, so certainly not something you want to see if you're a fan or a member of that Buckeyes team. Couldn't quite tell who it was who went down, but either way, not something you want to see.
Stays in bounds. High tackle. Not called.
As it's Connor Mulligan brought to the ground for Notre Dame. Fake pass from Michael Egan, still on his feet.
Shows him who's boss.
Cross midfield.
And Ohio State will get the ball back on this penalty. Notre Dame once again called for the not releasing. The two that they have struggled with is not releasing and offsides. Those ones really setting them back. So again, just being mindful, cleaning it up.
It will be a Buckeye line out.
Yeah, certainly a lot of missed opportunities on the table for Notre Dame, and offensive penalties a big reason why you mentioned offsides and not rolling away. Certainly we've seen that, especially as they get close to that Ohio State tri-zone. Certainly they've taken a bit too many penalties for their liking, but also at that same time credit to Ohio State for their strong defense forcing Notre Dame into those penalties, as it's allowed, in this instance, Ohio State to force a turnover and get a favorable position for a line out, which is not straight.
Yeah, that's another thing with these lineouts. Both teams have struggled with the mechanics of it. Again, just whether it's the throw-in or timing the jumps. It's a difficult maneuver to get down.
Scrum coming for Notre Dame at about 10 meters from midfield. Irish down 7-5 in the second half of second game of our doubleheader today. Cutback move and nearly a successful pass.
Awfully knocked on by the Irish.
An obstruction called on Ohio State. So one miscue after the other.
That was Tom Cherico, number 24 for Notre Dame, almost bursting through. But as you mentioned, penalty against the Irish, and so Ohio State with a scrum. Ball is fed in. Kicks around, Notre Dame will collect. Quick pass to Curran, who's tackled. And we get another whistle. Looks like a penalty against the Irish. So
Another offside.
opportunity for Ohio State. You mentioned offsides. One of those penalties that they're getting really caught with this evening. And another example there is the Buckeyes will not have too much ground gained with that kick into touch, but still inside Notre Dame territory looking to expand on their lead.
Yeah, so once again, just being mindful. It's good to, good to accelerate on that defense, on that launch. Good to launch up with, a lot of energy. But again, the timing is pretty critical there. If you're too early, you get caught off sides, and again, just sets you back another 10. So once again, just something to work on because it'll keep pushing them back. Now defensively, when it's not offsides, they've been pretty good at that launch. So again, just watching the timing a bit. But they've been pretty good at mitigating the attack by the Buckeyes. I mean, it's only 5-7 here at Stinson, so.
Successful line out for the Buckeyes. Refreshing sight for them as they've struggled with that in this game. But after that one, they're certainly set up in good position, trying to find the hole in that Notre Dame defense that they did in the first half when they took the 7-0 lead. Kick play is unsuccessful as Notre Dame takes over possession. However, another offsides called, and so
brutal. Absolutely brutal again.
I would argue your announcer's jinx is kicking in again.
I don't want to speak it into existence.
Kicked into touch deep into Irish territory, so certainly Ohio State's best offensive chance of this half. Probably their best chance to score other than that long run. They've certainly been on the defensive side more in this game, but a good possession here, aided by some Notre Dame miscues, and all of a sudden they're knocking on the door at the 5. Crucial line out is kicked on by Notre Dame before it's recovered. Tackle made. Daniel Baptist on the play.
He was dragged down for that. Unfortunately called by diving over.
Ohio State operating in the middle of the field. Now they'll peel off towards the left. Well defended by Notre Dame. And a pass attempt goes awry.
Ball pass into touch. Irish line out.
So the Notre Dame Fighting Irish will take over with a line out as we're under 30 minutes to play in the second half. They still trail Ohio State by 2. Line out is corralled by the Irish. Erden came down with it. He thought he had the go-ahead try near the end of the first half, was called back. So we get a whistle.
Messy on the field.
Clock will stop with another injury. As it is an Ohio State Buckeye down on his back. So with 28:43 to play in the second half. We'll halt play and looks like we're about ready to resume as Stands up rather gingerly, but looks like he's going to stay in there, and so time is running again, and it's a Notre Dame scrum deep in their own territory.
So critical moment for Notre Dame. They have to get this ball out quick, have to get it into space, and try to clear it out before the defensive pressure comes on.
You mentioned it, a big spot. If Ohio State could force a turnover in this scrum, it would be a huge opportunity for them.
Ball kept in the scrum.
But before we can get a resolution on the scrum and a whistle,
Knock-on called on the Irish. Another scrum coming up.
and they will do another scrum. This time, though, it will be an Ohio State scrum, I believe, is what they're lining up for. Indeed, they get into that position. So Ohio State with the ball inside the 22. Big chance to try to go up by 2 scores as time continues to tick in the second half. Kicked into Ohio State possession. Strong tackle from John Murphy for Notre Dame.
Buckeyes swing it out,
And that one from Cherico.
By number 14, Tom Turco.
And another penalty for the Irish, or excuse me, against the Irish. And so once again, backed up deep in their own territory. And the ref will call a meeting with the 2 captains.
As you mentioned, Claire, the 2 captains confer with the referee, who certainly had an active, prominent role in this second half. A lot of penalties. More of a sluggish pace. We've seen both these teams play at a faster pace at times this season. Definitely a slower pace to start this second half. However, with 26 minutes to go, it's a successful kick into touch for the Buckeyes, as perhaps they want to play at this slow pace, slow the game down, just try to grind one more try in and then just hold on to this lead the rest of the way.
Absolutely, and again, now positioned at the 5 for this line out. If they can get this one off, they're in pretty good position to get one through. So again, Notre Dame needs to be diligent, especially on the goal line here. It looks like they get it off.
Successful line out. Big chance for the Buckeyes, pushing the pile.
Big run by the Buckeyes.
Still not in, though, as Notre Dame's defense continues to be strong. Bodies flying everywhere. Space out wide. Can he get to the try zone? Yes, he can. Ohio State. That's a try for them, and they take a 12-5 lead.
And Ohio State, again, utilizing the wing. Notre Dame was stretched a little thin out there. And so, again, 1-2 passes after some physical runs by their forwards. Couldn't get it through then, so they flipped it out to the backs. Got the job done.
Great work on the attack from the Buckeyes, finding the open man out wide on the right flank. And he manages to full out dive. What an effort to get into the try zone, and a very, very difficult conversion attempt coming, but nonetheless, some breathing room for the Buckeyes as they are up 12-5 with 24 minutes to go in the second half.
And so although it'll be difficult, again, Notre Dame just has to stay disciplined. They have to earn the ball back as that one is no good.
Conversion is unsuccessful.
Not a bad attempt by any means, but does
Irish
sail to the
returning
left.
the line.
So the lead remains at 7 for Ohio State as they are set to get the ball back. As they get in their receiving position. Notre Dame getting ready to kick it away. Needing a turnover, a score, and a conversion. If they do all those things, though, they're right back in this game.
Absolutely, they're by no means out of it. They just have to, earn the ball
Now
back
set to kick off.
on this next phase and really
Shoots it nice and
do
high.
anything that they can to
Bounce.
get the momentum going
Big
back.
tackle by the Irish.
Certainly a good start.
That's number 20, Alex Adams.
As Ohio State pinned back so far, they'll have to kick it away. It will stay
Referee comes
into
back.
touch for a
Flag
moment,
advantage. There's a penalty on Ohio State.
but
Near the 22.
And another
22.
offsides. This one against the Buckeyes. So Notre Dame with an opportunity here as they kick it out into touch.
Irish line out.
they will have a line out from inside the 22, so big chance for the Irish here is just after recently giving up that try, really strong pushback from them, knowing that the situation, knowing they need to strike quickly, try to tie this game up, and they've got possession inside the 22, and so a chance for them to at least punch it across for 5 and then go from there.
Great catch by Collie Erden.
Ball is free,
The ball.
picked up by the Buckeyes.
And
Looks like we have injuries on both sides here, however.
And unfortunately for Notre Dame,
Time for some injured players.
it'll be a scrum to the Buckeyes on the knock-on.
21 minutes, 21 seconds to play in this second half between Ohio State and Notre Dame. And as we pause for both teams' injuries,
Still plenty of time again
Exactly.
for any of the teams, for Ohio State to try to pull ahead, to Notre Dame, for Notre Dame to make this close, even tie the game. So really anything could happen here as we move into the latter portion of the second half.
absolutely, Claire. Certainly far from over in this one. We saw a last-second walk-off in the first half for Ohio State, so certainly Notre Dame right in this one. A missed opportunity there, but they've had a bunch. They've been all over the tri-zone. So Ohio State, though, with the 7-point lead in the ball, see if they can expand that lead, as you mentioned, give themselves that 2-score lead to really cushion their lead and make it a little bit more stress-free down the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just with another opportunity here, they have to advance. And if Notre Dame can get a hand on it, I mean, they set themselves up well.
Ohio State player still down. So finally come to his feet. Notre Dame injured player has been taken care of, so we're good on that front. But Ohio State still tending to theirs. Conversation going on near us between Tom Cherico, who's had a strong game, and some spectators on the sidelines. He's been good on both sides. We've seen some good runs from him, also some good tackles. He's currently way out to the right. Ref blows his whistle, which means
Play resumes.
the play has resumed, so the time once again begins to tick as we get set for this scrum. Ohio State with possession as of now.
Ohio State takes care of their own ball.
And they end up with it as well. Spinning tackle from Matt Monpere. And another strong tackle as the Irish defense standing strong so far. High kick
Short high kick. Nate Nash fields it.
is gathered, but a whistle and a stoppage.
Ohio State offsides.
Offsides again. This one on Ohio State again.
Notre Dame offsides.
Actually, I've lied to you. It was Notre Dame who went offside, so Ohio State ball. And they will look to kick it into touch and gain some ground.
Yeah, again, another offside for the Irish, setting them back. And this kick goes into touch.
Ball knocked on by the Irish.
Good effort on the left side by Notre Dame to try to keep that in, but results in a knock-on.
But ruled out of bounds first.
I think they will go for the line out.
They will indeed. Both teams setting up for a line out. It will be Ohio State to throw it in. So we're more than halfway through this second half. It's still a 7-point lead for Ohio State. Their defense has really been outstanding today, and they've managed to strike twice in the try zone, and that's why they lead by 7 points. But
Ball knocked on by the
fumbled
Buckeyes.
on the line out, so Notre Dame with a counterattack opportunity.
And here comes the Irish attack. Can they get it out quick enough and make opportunities to tie this one up?
Big run by Matt Monpere.
Monpere trying to burst through himself.
Skip pass.
Long
That's
pass.
Gibby. Let's go, baby. Out to the wing.
All the way to the left
One
side.
more.
Little room.
Keep it in bounds.
Another
Yeah.
offload, and Notre Dame's inside the 5.
Little late on that
By the
offload.
Irish, knocked on the door. Say that every time.
And a penalty.
Buckeyes back
Penalty
on the goal
called,
line.
yep.
Tap
Notre
and
Dame
go.
goes quick on the tap and go.
Irish looking
Can
at
they
the ball
ground
down
it?
And
cannot.
it will be held up.
by the Buckeyes.
So
Notre Dame falls
defensive
short.
defensive stand for the Buckeyes.
Just mentioned how their defense has been amazing in this contest, and another example of it there is
Looks like
Notre Dame no more than 1 meter away, but
out.
Absolutely. And
unable to
again,
get it in.
again, their defense, especially on that try line when they're backed up all the way, really putting in that extra effort to save the score. So excellent job by the Buckeyes right there.
Ball goes
Kick goes into touch.
into touch. Notre Dame line out, not touched by an Irish player.
Notre
So,
Dame line out.
yeah, another opportunity here. I feel like I've been saying that a lot.
Certainly have, and I have been too, as both teams, but especially Notre Dame, have had the ball on their opponent's side of the 50 of the midfield line and just unable to get it in, save for one try each. We have the difference in this game right now is that long not kickoff, but long kick
Ball
return
controlled by Notre Dame.
by
Yeah.
Ohio State to draw first blood. And I mean, other than that, it's been two like grinded out type of tries.
Ball's out, big hit on the scrum
And
half.
Both teams playing strong defensively, but it's certainly been Ohio State that's had the better of the defensive effort
Good counter-wrecking by the Buckeyes.
in this half. And in a half that they are leading by one score and they need their defense to step up, it certainly has.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Ohio State just needs that space to get loose. They've got a lot of speed. So good on Notre Dame for trying to contain that by getting up early. Sometimes a little too early, but generally speaking, have been really good at stopping the breaks since that first one.
Certainly has been noticeable, the aggression of the Irish
Ball
defense.
knocked on by the Irish.
They will knock that one on, though.
So Ohio State off another set play here. Big scrum coming up.
Under 16 minutes to go is time ticking on the Irish. They trail by 7. It's the Buckeyes winning the first game of the doubleheader. And currently leading the second half as well. As really both games have really shown how strong their defense is, and that's continuing to be a storyline throughout the night, and especially in this second half of his JV game. Space down the right side. Kicked along.
Ball kicked along by the Ohio State winger.
And it's Notre Dame with a strong run themselves. Look at this. Effort still going.
Great run.
So that might have been Rocco Perry going all the way across midfield.
Absolutely, using that speed once you get that gap. And a not releasing call for Notre Dame. So once again, backed up a little bit, but again, just another flash of brilliance as Ohio State kicks that, Notre Dame recovers, so they're off once again off that penalty.
Looks like a high tackle on the Buckeyes.
High tackle is the ruling on that play, so it's Notre Dame's attempt to kick it into touch, and it's a good one.
And that
a lot
one
of
went
ground.
very deep, just outside the 22. Excellent job right there by Notre Dame. So once again, another good position for them. They just have to be methodical about it. They have to take every phase very carefully. See if they can push this defense all the way back.
Successful line out for the Irish.
Irish retain possession. Pick and go.
And a burst of speed up the middle.
Again, that
Good
tempo
ground gained.
and the
Notre
offload.
Dame will get in. It's a try for Notre Dame.
Try scored for the Irish.
And that was an excellent move right there off the pick and go, catching the defense offsides, or not offsides, but off balance. And once you have that disruption, one offload, and it's gone. Well done by the Irish. And they come storming back. It is 10-12 here at Stinson.
And a chance to make it a tie game is a conversion attempt upcoming. It's a really, I like the way you phrase that, off balance. You're getting Ohio State, who's such a good defensive team when they're in their proper system.
Absolutely. If you can catch them on that back pedal, I mean, it's scary times. So hopefully this is a favorable angle for Notre Dame to kick this conversion. But excellent effort right there on that last play. Textbook offload. Into the try zone he went.
Certainly a much-needed score for Notre Dame. Don't want to trail for too long as here goes the conversion attempt. It's low, but it's through, and this game is tied.
And here we go. Don't count them out. They just tied it.
Just for that play. Irish tie it up.
So with the score now 12-12, a huge score for the Irish.
Don't let them get hot. They get the ball back here. And so once again, if they can create those opportunities, they have a chance to put this one forward.
Ohio State lines up to kick it away. The clock continues to tick, approaching 11 minutes to go in what has been another fantastic game in the nightcap of our doubleheader.
Absolutely, and in these last 11 minutes, it could swing either way. What an entertaining night for rugby, I have to say.
Certainly have had two amazing games. Hope you joined us for both, but if you're just joining in, just now it's been a great day as at 6 o'clock, Ohio State and Notre Dame's varsity rugby teams matched up against each other in a thrilling game that ended 16-14 for the Buckeyes. And in this nightcap, it was Ohio State that struck first, going up 7-0 on a long individual run. It was then the Irish responding with a gritty try to make it 7-5. Just after halftime, it was Ohio State getting on the board again with a great diving effort along the right side, but then it's Notre Dame tying the game. And now on the defense as Ohio State looks to recapture that lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And so here we go. The Buckeyes trying to swing it wide, trying to find that gap. And the Irish are there to wrap them up.
Buckeyes try power running to no avail. A little bit of speed here, though, down the right side, and the lead back. Ohio State with a try, and they go back on top.
And they just cut right through the gap there. Good on them. Again, they have that speed on the outside. It's just a matter of finding the opportunity and taking advantage of it as it presents itself. No hesitation, right in for the score. Well played by the Buckeyes.
Tough angle conversion attempt coming as kick is up and misses to the right. So Ohio State will remain in the lead by 5, 17-12 as we're getting close to 8 minutes to go, and Notre Dame, who just had an answer, needs another one.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, they are not out of this. It's really still anyone's game. So just put in the extra work on defense, win that ball back, and start another phase going on the attack. So this kick, a little grubber moment.
Short kick. Ohio State does control it. And a hole for the Buckeyes is not going to work out for them as it's whistled down. Does it look like Ohio State might strike again before that whistle blew?
And this one goes into touch. So Ohio State, once again, trying to advance, trying to extend their lead. Just over 7 minutes remaining in this match. Notre Dame needs a defensive stand here.
Certainly do, as another score would almost positively put this game out of reach, whether that be a 3-point or a 5 or 7-point score for Ohio State. Any points for them at this point is valuable. Anything stretches the lead from 1 score to 2, so kicked out to the left, juggled but eventually gathered. Tackle is made by Cherico.
And a little pick and go action for the Buckeyes as they try to advance this one quickly.
Couple Irish in on that tackle. Pass is broken up. Schifferah trying to gain some ground. Number 17, Amani Schifferah. First time we've heard his name this evening. Cut back move from
That
Reichert.
tackle questionably high, but they will not call it.
Here's some room.
Show 'em how it's done, baby.
As the Irish move past the 10 into Ohio State territory. Schifferah has it back. He's brought down. Juggled by Cherico, and then he's tackled right away. And a whistle is blown.
And so the Irish will be penalized. They cannot play that ball as such.
Clock briefly stops, but it is resuming again. We're under 5 minutes. Kick will stay in bounds, so a break for the Irish. Room here, as it's Tom Bowman with a strong run.
And a few offloads, trying to get every meter they can get.
Hands up high on the defense. We'll play it on.
And we get a whistle, penalty against Ohio State. So Notre Dame with an opportunity.
Looks like that was for a high tackle. So once again, Notre Dame trying to make up some ground.
Playing advantage, Ohio State can't get out of the ruck.
And so Ohio State will once again be called, this time for not rolling away. And a little bit of a sloppy pass there.
That was a overhand attempt from Matt Potter trying to get creative on the offense.
Yeah, I get the skip pass trying to get it out wide fast, but that one looked more out of desperation, to be honest.
And that's actually Cam Nash, not Matt Potter. Nate Nash, excuse me, on the attempt.
I heard Cam Nash retired.
I heard that too.
Cam Nash scored a try in his last game last week.
He did score a try in his last game last week. He wanted all of you viewers to know that.
Went out on a high note.
His brother Nate with that pass attempt, football style, but does not click. So with under 3 minutes to go, it's Ohio State in control of the lead and in control of the ball.
So this scrum will be called back again. Could be some fatigue, but not quite the stable scrums we'd been seeing earlier on. And so they will rebind.
Out of the scrum, it comes to the Buckeyes, who will kick it away, stays in bounds.
They'll flip it to the fullback, who kicks it off.
Nice high kick.
It's a high kick.
Good bounce from the Irish.
Notre Dame retains possession. Strong running from Mulligan.
Big running from Tom Bowman.
Bowman gains some ground. Minute and a half to go. Notre Dame needing a try for the tie. Schifferau with a cutback move.
Again, just playing phase by phase.
Offloaded into the hands of James Cole. Decent gain.
Bowman carries it again. They have no answer for that man. Penalty on the Irish.
And a penalty against Notre Dame is called as we're into the final minute.
That was an unsafe play by Connor Morgan.
Final minute of the second half.
We've got a minute.
Irish back 10 for that diving over call. So once again, the penalties chipping away.
Juggled and corralled is a strong tackle from the Ohio State defense. We get another whistle. Another penalty against Notre Dame. 20 seconds to go. Ohio State maintaining that 5-point lead. This kick will go into touch as, once again, just like at the end of last game, our scoreboard is the unofficial time. The official time is what the ref has on the field. So our time says 0's on the clock. See what the ref decides on the field. Of course, the game cannot end with a live ball, so no matter what, this line out is important. Obviously, Notre Dame needing to steal this away.
And it is not straight. So Notre Dame with what seems to be a final opportunity to get a try, get on the board, tie it up potentially.
Certainly the last lifeline for this Notre Dame team, as it was Ohio State who was in the motion of kicking it into touch to end the game when that whistle blew, ruling the line out not straight. So a break for the Irish. They take over the ball, needing to score. Down by 5. They will control. So this is what it comes down to. Can Notre Dame find a way to punch it in for the try? Good start to the possession so far as they're all the way almost close to midfield.
And a little late on that ruck, but managed to recover the ball. Both of these games coming down to the final phases.
2 one-possession games. Certainly this one.
Ball stripped and kicked into touch.
And this one is over as a steal from Ohio State, and they kick it into touch, and that's going to do it, I think. We have a conference between the head referee and the side judge. And they do confirm it is over. So it's Ohio State with the sweep of the doubleheader. 17-12, the JV team comes out on top. 2 really tight games, two incredibly close matchups. We had this one tied in the waning stages of the second half. The first one came down to a walk-off kick for points. So really good action today. It was Ohio State, though, getting the better of the Irish.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just coming down to those little opportunities, finding the gap, taking advantage. And that is what did it for the Buckeyes. 2 very close matches tonight, and the Buckeyes edging out the Irish in both.
It's Ohio State winning 2 games by a combined 7 points. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you were here for 5 minutes or both games. We appreciate you coming to support Notre Dame rugby in this weekend doubleheader against the Ohio State Buckeyes. For my partner, Claire DeMeo, and my director, Nick Ruthraff, thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a great night.